Reviews, the distillery. I want to give a couple shout outs before we get started. I see Donnie, our mod here. He's saying, if you are new to the channel, and please sound off in the chat. Absolutely. Yes. I'd love to meet lots of new faces. I know Donnie did an awesome job promoting this on the local groups in Illinois. So welcome to everyone that's new. If you don't know me, my name's Clifton. I do whiskey reviews with a gaming twist. Like I said, we did a Twitch stream earlier, right before this. I call it my pre-gaming stream. Hopefully you enjoy your time here tonight. Make sure to hit the thumbs up button if you are enjoying the show. And if you want to come back for more, you can hit subscribe down below. Also, I do a podcast that comes out every Friday. So there's a new episode coming out tomorrow. You can find that wherever you find your podcast, but I've also put a link down below to my podcast on Podbean. But you can find it on Apple, Spotify, all that. Scott Pigsley's in the house. What's up, Scott? Eric's like, me. I am ready for this, Donnie. I'm glad to have you on board too. Fred, what's up, Fred? Fred is a patron of the show. Actually, all these guys so far are patrons of the show. Sugar Kitty, what's up? Meow to you. Sugar Kitty is a Byte Club member, so Byte Club represent. That's my YouTube membership here, and now my new my new Twitch subscribers are called Byte Club now too. So you can be a Byte Club in two places. So, but every little bit does help support the show. If you want to support the show even further, you can support it on patreon.com/Bourbon Bytes. We do fun things like monthly hangouts and after party hangouts right after this stream. So if you want to get in on that, just patreon.com/Bourbon Bytes. And for as little as $2 a month, you can support the show and help it keep on keeping on, I guess. All right. What's up, Cheech? Good to see you. Thanks so much for dropping my links in the chat. So before I bring on our guest, I wanted to play a really cool video that Whiskey Acres put together kind of as an introduction to the brand. So I think you guys are really going to enjoy this. So take a look.
Greatness isn't born from punching a clock. Greatness has its own clock, its own pace, its own rhythm. It begins before the sun shows its face, and its pursuit carries you well into the darkness of night. Greatness takes all five senses working in tandem, honed and heightened by the promise of what could be. It dances with the elements. Greatness takes patience and practice. Because greatness doesn't happen overnight. It reveals itself over time. You can taste it. Smell it. Feel it between your fingers. You can see greatness in a harvest. It manifests in calloused hands and sore shoulders, in trial and error. Greatness takes 24/7, 365 days a year, because greatness never sleeps. In DeKalb, Illinois, on these 2,000 acres, we're tilling and harvesting, distilling and perfecting. And we're chasing greatness in every bottle.
All right, so I thought that'd be a really fun way to introduce our guest. Please welcome Nick Nagley, the co-founder, distiller, and farmer at Whiskey Acres. Nick, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. My pleasure.
So, like I said, our friend Eric introduced me to you. I think he's a big fan of the distillery. I think he's local. But hopefully some of you guys may be your first time hearing of Whiskey Acres. So we're going to learn a lot tonight. We're going to taste through 6 different expressions of their whiskey. I probably shouldn't have pre-gamed before this. But, well, tell us a little bit about yourself. You know, how did you get into the distilling industry?
That's such a good question that my wife asks me about every day as well. So for some context, I'm one of 3 co-founders. My 2 business partners are Jim and Jamie Walter, and we actually built the distillery on their 5th generation family farm. Mm-hmm. They have been farming for 5 generations, but on that specific site that we're in DeKalb since the 1930s. And our common thread is that my family has a farm as well, about 100 miles south of DeKalb, where when I'm on that property, I'm fifth generation as well. So my dad literally lives across the street from the house that his father was born in. And we've been farming in that location since the 1860s. So Whiskey Acres is a manifestation of three farmers really wanting to do something different with grain that's just a highly commoditized world. So in the world of farming, particularly commodity corn, you make your living based off of trying to grow the most bushels per acre and hoping that the market gives you the best price per acre. Hopefully those two things combined give you more profit than you spent to raise that grain. Mm-hmm. And so the Whiskey Acres Distillery was really a way to diversify the farm, to get a little bit away from the commoditization of farming, really a way to get closer to the consumer. We're 60 miles west of Chicago, and up until 7 years ago, every bushel of corn that's ever been grown at Whiskey Acres or on Walter Farm has gone west away from Chicago, as opposed to east towards the third largest metro center in the country. So it was a way to get closer to the consumer and really a way to create a platform for us to have a dialogue with consumers, to create a welcome and open and inviting space for folks from the city and the suburbs who've never stepped foot on a farm before to come out, see the farm, experience the process, ask questions in a comfortable setting, and enjoy a drink that was literally controlled from seed to spirit at that site.
That's incredible. We hear a lot of people mention, the whole grain to table, that's always been a phrase that people use and they like to throw it out as a buzzword, but you guys literally do, like you said, you seed to spirit. You guys are growing it, you are distilling it. I mean, you guys, that's why I wanted to have you on, because I think we rarely see the perspective of someone that not just is, sourcing grains from somewhere and creating whiskey. You're literally growing it there locally. So I thought you guys feel free to chime in with any questions you have tonight. I'm sure he is a wealth of knowledge. He wears many hats at the distillery. So I see some people here that say they are from the group that Donnie invited, Sycamore Whiskey Club. So yeah, everyone that's
cool.
coming here from that, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. So Nick, let's go ahead and get something in our glass. Like I said, we have 6 different whiskeys to go through tonight. So I assume this first one your first product that you put out?
So the first we're going to taste tonight is our straight bourbon. It was the first aged product that we put out.
Gotcha.
So when we started, maybe just a little context. How did you get into the whiskey industry? Well, we came into the whiskey industry as farmers, not with really with zero distilling experience whatsoever. And, that's kind of a fairly big barrier to entry. And so when we started the business planning process and really trying to ramp up our exploration and our knowledge of the industry, we took the classes, we read the books, but recognized there's a pretty big gap between what we want to do, and what we actually know. So we were able to seek out a guy by the name of Dave Pickerel. And if you're in the whiskey world,
we're
Dave,
very familiar with him. Yeah.
Rest in peace, Dave. He was, we brought him on board to help us to build the distillery, to navigate the bureaucratic waters that exist in the whiskey business, and to just give him some guidance to really validate our business plan and our recipes and what our vision was. So all that being said, one of the things that we wanted to do to stay true to our seed to spirit model is we will not ever source whiskey to label as Whiskey Acres. And we think that is our biggest differentiator in the marketplace. It's also our biggest hindrance from a profitability standpoint.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Because you got to set on you make this big investment in the beginning, and then you got to continue all of your daily operating costs as well while you build inventory and let time pass. So that's a long way of telling you that out the gate, we didn't source whiskey. We made a little bit of vodka. We made a little bit of corn whiskey that we sold, with like a little aging spiral, just as a way to kind of differentiate, the white dogs and the moonshine process from what everyone else was doing. While that was going on, we also put together a barrel program. So on year 1, we filled 15, 25, and 53 gallon barrels. On year 2, we filled 25 and 53 gallon barrels. And on year 3, we only have been filling 53 gallons moving forward. So that if you fast forward from that, on year number 3, we were emptying 15 gallon barrels. On year number 4, we're emptying 25 gallon barrels. On year 5 and year 5 and beyond, we're emptying at minimum 4-year-old 53-gallon barrels.
Nice.
So again, to get back to your original question, this label was actually the first brown spirit that we released, but it was just bourbon. So just imagine this.
Gotcha.
So then we got our portfolio to a position where everything was at least 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So then we were able to update it with straight bourbon. And today that it's very, you can't see it very well, but on the side of the bottle, the age statement is aged at least 4 years. And so I just think that's an important thing to know about a product, is that if somebody did have it at the beginning, it was small barrel 2-year-old stuff. Today it is large barrel, like what I like to call like no excuse craft whiskey. Everything that you want from a distillery, from an age standpoint, from a process standpoint, from a barrel age standpoint, from a barrel size standpoint, is in this bottle. So
that's honestly, I praise you. I feel like so many people struggle when starting out, because a lot of them are, sourcing. That's one way to approach it. As long as you're transparent about that, I'm okay with that. But you guys, now the fact that you guys had that so planned out, was that part of Dave's help when he was helping you set up the distillery? Was it kind of an idea that he kind of maybe inspired?
Well, he validated it, maybe, that the do not source mentality was something that we as an ownership and founding team all collectively shared.
Right.
We all also collectively shared the knowledge that this was going to be a cash flow heavy business to be in. So none of us quit our day jobs.
Right.
So what Dave did was really help us to execute against that vision and create this barrel aging program. Gotcha. And his biggest piece of advice to us was, do not get stuck in the small barrel cycle. If you just keep filling small barrels, you will never be able to get out of small barrels. And I should basically thank him every day for that, because as the small barrels are fantastic for getting to know your product sooner and getting, an enjoyable product to market sooner, but they're not profitable. A 25-gallon barrel on a per unit basis costs me more than a 53-gallon barrel. So just out the gate, cost of goods are more expensive. Okay, you can swallow that pill. But then fast forward as the years go by, an industry standard is kind of like 3 to 4% annual angel share loss on a 53-gallon barrel. And that's, we're averaging about 4%. On a 25-gallon barrel, it's at least 8%.
Wow.
So the barrel costs twice as much, and there's half as much whiskey in there when you get to the final product. So it's a very expensive way to be in the business in an accelerated way. So we're very glad that we're out of that right now. So let's taste this. Let me quit talking to you.
Please. So you said at least 4 years old on the straight bourbon.
Yep. So the mash bill is 75% corn, 15% soft red winter wheat, and 10% malted barley. This is all aged in 53-gallon char 3 Calvin Cooperage barrels. Our barrel warehouses are unused grain bins that we've converted into barrel storage.
Oh, really?
And one of them is actually, 2 of them are Quonset buildings. So think like a half circle, like think Army surplus barracks or military hangars. And they're actually, we said, let's try it. But have learned it's actually absolutely ideal for aging because they're made of corrugated steel. So everything inside is completely exposed to the temperature changes that we have. So you said you're in California now,
what do you mean temperature changes? I'm just
kidding. Yeah, right. Well, the whiskey that we're drinking right now, when it was in a barrel, was as cold as -35 and as hot as 115 degrees.
-30. Note to self, maybe visit Illinois before you decide to move there.
Get the hell out of here in January.
Holy crap, that's a massive difference. I had no idea that it fluctuated that much.
Yeah, and so part of the barrel aging process is having that pressure change and the temperature change that causes the pores of the oak to expand and contract. And the more often you can have that happen, the deeper you're able to get within the staves, the more extraction you get, the more wood sugars you get. And so really, like, as miserable as the winter cycles are and as crazy as the Illinois weather is, we really couldn't have custom ordered a better place to age whiskey.
Oh, that's super interesting. I know these guys love getting nerdy about things, so you answered a lot of questions they probably already had. Before I take a step, I want to give a couple shout outs to people who are joining right now that weren't here at the beginning. I just want to say hi to some new faces. W. O'Neill, first time seeing you. I assume that means enjoyed the Bottle and Bond rye, which we do have in our lineup here too. What's up, Bourbon? Another amazing YouTube channel here. Live Wire Whiskey. Let's get to the YouTube channels first. There's a lot of them in the room right now. Whiskey Knows. What's up? Storytime Whiskey or Storytime Distillery. I apologize. Thank y'all for coming in. Emily Chambers, a mod here, and some new faces. Jeff Cockrum from Sycamore Whiskey Club. Awesome,
Cheers,
Jeff. Thank you so much thanks for coming in. Thank you for being a part of this. Big Vic, I see here. Diana, of course. 21090, another YouTube channel here. Fred said, I'm getting caught up in the chat. Sorry, I'm trying to rush through it. Fred asked, is that 4% angel share for the first year as well?
So when you figure on year one, and I can just give you this sort of what I was taught, because we've never emptied anything after year one. But what you can expect is the moment you fill the barrel, you lose 5% into the staves that you call the devil's cut. Mm-hmm. And then annually after that, you're that 3 to 4 to 5%. So if you were to fill a barrel, let it age a year, based off of that math on year one, you might have more like 7 or 8%.
Gotcha.
But I've never done it, so I can't speak with specific experience on whether that's actually how it works or not. But
gotcha. No, that's good info.
Piece these two things together, that's how I would think it would be.
Yeah, and sorry, Brandon, I missed you. If I missed anyone, feel free to chime in. I was trying to get caught up really quickly, but okay, I just had my first sip of this one. That's such an, you said it's a high corn and there's wheat instead of rye in the mash bill, right? Mm-hmm. I feel like it's kind of giving it a more of like a bread note that I typically get on, a wheated one. Maybe it's just, you said the mash bill earlier. I'm sorry. What was the mash bill on this?
It's 75% corn.
Okay.
15% soft red winter wheat and 10% malted barley. And so our goal here is really to have something that's soft and approachable. We use wheat as a secondary ingredient to really get out of the way of the corn. Right. Wheat is what I would call a complementary grain as opposed to a flavor grain. Mm-hmm. And just knowing that we're a new distillery, go back to being in our shoes 7 years ago. We're in a new distillery in a market that really doesn't have any distilleries. Knowing that we're going to have a lot of customers who are going to have one of their first bourbon experiences with us, we thought it was most appropriate to create something that's approachable, something that you can sip, that's nice, that's mixable, but not overly complex. And that's, the way that we feel that our straight bourbon is kind of showcased.
Gotcha. What is the proof on the straight bourbon?
87.
87. So, gotcha. Good question from Brandon. He says, is it the same red winter wheat that Maker's Mark uses? I don't know exactly which wheat they use, but.
So I can tell you that Maker's uses soft red winter wheat.
Okay.
What I can't tell you, and what I would say with a great deal of confidence, is we have a very specific variety of wheat that we've been growing for the last 7 or 8 years. Mm-hmm. So one of the things I didn't mention is Jamie and I actually met because he and I were both in the seed business. And so we have access to sort of up and coming genetics as well as sort of an intimate knowledge of the industry. And so we were able to identify a specific rye variety that grows really well, has very nice test weight, very good disease resistance. And that rye has been the foundational secondary ingredient for everything we distill. So the answer is yes, Maker's does use wheat as a secondary ingredient. I doubt they're using the same variety that we use.
Gotcha. And for those people that are just tuning in, these guys basically grow everything they make. So they're growing this in Illinois. It's, things that grow well in their climate. So it may be the same still a winter wheat, but maybe not the same actual seed that he's starting with. So,
and Clifton, I will say this, at this point, I don't think you can use the word basically in front of what grow everything. We grow all of our own corn, wheat, rye, and now we're growing our own barley.
Wow. Okay. Because the reason I said that was because I've had people before that grow like 2 of those and they still source their barley. So that's really interesting.
We're sourcing our own barley. We have kind of a funny barley story here is that my dad and I grew it on our farm a couple of years ago to just kind of ground truth it and see if it could be grown in Illinois. My family has Black Angus cows, And so we were able to use rye to just kind of rotate it into our small grains as a nurse crop for our alfalfa. So for our farm, it was just kind of a swap rye for oats or oats for rye. I should say barley.
Mm-hmm.
And we were able to use that. We grew it and had it malted and actually has some really, really nice American single malt that's aging. So then we sort of ground truth it there. We brought the barley genetics to DeKalb and grew it there in 2020 and had like a 30 or 35 bushel to the acre crop, which is like really, really kind of miserable. But it wasn't far off from the yield that my dad and I had. So we just kind of went, all right, well, this barley is something we want to incorporate into our operation, but we're not going to get many bushels out of it. So what we did was we doubled our bushel or acres that we grew from 20 to 21. And then we harvested it in 21 and we had a 3x increase in yield per acre. So we doubled our acres plus instead of 35 or 40 bushels to the acre, it was more like 115 or 120. Wow. So we are swimming in barley, and actually just shipped a semi-load off to a guy who's got a malt house in the Quad Cities, which is an hour and a half away from us. Mm-hmm. And we're having it malted so that we can use our own barley as distiller's malt, as well as having some specialty malts done that we can use for making American single malts.
Wow. That's a big leap. And I'm so glad to see that it's working out and you're able to get so much of it. We're sticking in the nerdy questions. So Storytime Distillery asks, which do you think has the bigger impact, the grains used or the strains of yeast? Difficult question.
No, I just want to make sure I don't make anybody mad when I answer this. I do think that the grains, obviously I'm coming from a jaded perspective here, but I think the grains matter more. I would stack in terms of my priorities, and I'm kind of shooting from the hip here.
Sure.
Grain and barrel as almost equal, and then I would put yeast and water as close thirds and fourths, and then process, people, and other sort of minor things that influence the final impact of it. But I think the story that we're trying to tell at Whiskey Acres is that grain matters way more than anyone has ever appreciated. And had we not had this little thing called Prohibition happen in the United States, that story would have been told a long time ago. But when Prohibition happened, all the farmers who would have or could have been making whiskey, for the most part, quit. And then all the laws that were written subsequently to that were just prohibitive in letting anybody actually get back into the industry. And so as the United States evolved out of Prohibition, it really became a centralized place where the farmer was nothing more than a supplier to big whiskey. And it goes back to the commoditized, thing that we're trying to get away from. So I think grain matters more than yeast is I'll make my declarative statement and hope to not make anybody too mad.
Yeah. So just based on my first taste of this one, it has such a unique flavor that I feel like I haven't gotten. Even, it's 4 years old at least. To me, the grain is dominant. It's forward. And I think it's, I don't know if it's not necessarily the corn itself, but there's something that makes it really unique and makes it feel very, what's the best way to put it? Grain forward is sometimes interpreted as a bad thing, but I'm not saying it in a bad way. I mean that you can tell that this doesn't just taste like typical whiskey is the point I'm trying to get at.
We want it to be like the nose on it to me is always like butterscotch, caramel corn forward. The palate is always kind of thick and viscous. And if you want to kind of like think about something you would have every day or sometimes in life, cornbread is a big.
Actually had cornbread with dinner tonight.
Okay, I love it. So maybe that's sticking in your palate right now. But
maybe what I was going to say, it almost kind of reminds me of like a granola bar, like an oatmeal kind of character to it, and I do like that.
And the one word that I would say is never affiliated with our bourbon is spicy.
Right, because of the wheat.
Yep, it's always very, very and sweet is such a. It's the wrong word to use, but you understand what I'm trying to. It's got those sweeter notes. It's and that's what we're after.
Absolutely. Well, we're already off to a good start. So let's move into the bottle and bond bourbon. I saw someone was drinking that. Oh, yeah. Jeff says enjoying Whiskey Acres bottle and bond from Harvest 2014. So, I mean, you guys, how long have you guys been making whiskey, I guess, in general?
So December 21st will mark our 7-year anniversary of being in production.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to assume, this is the wrong way to look at it, but I'm going to assume folks don't know what bottle and bond is. So I'll tell this. Bottle and bond is kind of a funny, fun story. So in 1897, the federal government passed the Bottle and Bond Act of 1897, which was the first food safety law ever passed in the United States. Mm-hmm. And it was about the safety and integrity of whiskey. And just to really give you an appreciation for how nuts our government is roughly 25 years later, they made whiskey illegal. So in 1897, their priority was making legal whiskey safe. You fast forward to Prohibition, they made everything illegal. So I often tell that story. If you think that politics are crazy today, they were just as crazy back then. We just didn't have the platform of telling it in real time like we seem to have today.
Yeah, good point.
Bottled and Bond, though, that Act of 1897 mandated that you follow all the rules for bourbon. Mm-hmm. Plus, it has to be made in the same distillery, by the same distiller, in the same distilling season. And the distilling season is considered January 1 through the last day of June, July 1 through the last day of December. Mm-hmm. Bottled at exactly 100 proof, aged at a federally bonded warehouse for at least 4 years. And the one thing that we do that's an extra step is that, I don't know if you can, let's see if I can show it here, but if you look closely, I'm drinking one from the 2015 harvest.
Gotcha.
So we've taken it a step further, and in an effort to sort of pay homage to our wine brethren who are estate wineries, we're trying to create vintages of our bottle and bond to identify the harvest year that's coming from.
That's really unique, and I like that people can seek out the certain what if 2016 was a good year. That's I see it done a lot in wine, but it's really interesting to see it in whiskey as well. Eric makes a great point. He says, "This is why I love Whiskey Acres. It speaks to my farming heritage and the nerdy side of the grain genetics." So yeah, Eric is our resident farmer here in our chats. He's a great guy.
Hi, Eric.
I'm seeing a couple questions asking about distribution. And someone asked if you guys ship. Where are you guys at? Like, where can people find bottles?
So our primary footprint is in the state of Illinois. Mm-hmm. We have very limited distribution in physical distribution in Nebraska, and that's a whole long story. But we have a third-party partner who can ship to about 20 or 22 states called Sealbox.
Sealbox. They're awesome. I've ordered them several times.
SEELBACHS.com. Mm-hmm. If you go to our website, whiskeyacres.com, and there's a link on the top that says buy online, and it will take you directly to the Sealbox page.
Gotcha.
That will delineate what states that they can ship to. I can tell you this: I would love to be able to ship directly to anybody who orders from me, but Illinois is one of the states that prohibits it. And I'm a part of the Illinois Craft Distillers Association, and actively working to get that changed, because the opportunities for our business to grow are just so much. If I reflect on how much our business could have grown if I could have shipped during like the heat of COVID, we could have made,
right.
We could have hired a shipping and distribution department, but and a lot of folks ask, why are you only in Illinois? Well, the reason is, go back to our barrel aging program and the fact that we've never sourced, is that we've had to scale into having volume. And so we have thought it's very important for us to make sure that we can service our market in our backyard first before we start shipping out of state to any scale, to make sure the worst thing I could do is have the liquor store down the road or my number one, old fashioned restaurant down the road not be able to get whiskey because I sent it to somebody in Arkansas. Right. And so we want to make sure that we have the volume that can support our growth out of the state. And at the same time, we want to make sure that we have basically turned every stone within the state to make sure that we have really gotten, our groundwork done there. Because once
Mhm.
you leave your state, you're no longer local, or you're
Good
not
point. And
as
I saw
local.
that you guys were the first estate distillery in Illinois. Is that correct?
And as defined by the American Distilling Institute, we're the second in the United States. And
Wow.
Frey Ranch in Reno,
Uh-huh.
Nevada, or outside of
Mhm.
Reno, Nevada, was the first.
Wow, that's awesome. I'm seeing a lot of fans are from Illinois. I didn't realize Tim Evans was from Illinois, but Tim says great pour is here. Yes, he is a fan. And Cheech is dropping the Sealbox link if any of you guys want to check out their products there if they ship to you. 21090 says we will find you on Sealbox, and they are out of DC, so I can drive to pick it up. Even better.
Thank you, guys.
So I poured the bottle in bond. Now I saw Fred was asking a really good question, which Fred, I will get to your question, and Donna, your question is kind of related to Fred's. The bottle and bond, what other than following the obvious distinctions of bottle and bond, is this an older expression compared to the straight bourbon? Is it about the
That's-
same age?
It is the same exact mash bill.
Okay.
It's just between 1 and 2 years older
Hmm.
and higher proof. So basically, if you nose this, you will actually get a little less of that grain forward, and you're going to get a little bit more of the barrel. But beyond that, everything else is going to be the same, but more. So you're going to get deeper tones. You're going to get more sweetness. You're going to get more. It's more viscous to me. It's our straight rye or straight bourbon on steroids.
I was going to say, so I've only nosed it so far. But to me, it goes, like you said, darker. That word really resonates, because to me, I'm getting like a maybe like a milk chocolate, or there's something like deep and dark, and like maybe even caramel that I'm getting on the nose of this that I wasn't getting as much as that. And I think, like you said, that's coming from the barrel, the older age. So I haven't tried it yet. So cheers.
Cheers.
Oh yeah, it's like you said, it's more in line with some other ones that aren't as grain forward. You're getting a lot more of the traditional, like, to me, this is like a caramel bomb. I don't normally I get vanilla bombs on bourbon. To me, this is like a really chewy caramel candy. I love those desserty whiskeys. So
And
this
so
is
do I.
definitely up my alley. Well, while I'm enjoying that, I see a question from Fred. He was asking, are you intending to keep the age younger to highlight the grain rather than the oak, or will you be releasing at higher ages? I think that's a relevant question for this whiskey.
Sure. So our straight bourbon is going to be in that 4 to 5 year range. Our bottle and the bond is going to be in that 5 to 6 year range. We'll have some single barrel expressions or some other small blends that will have, a slightly older age statement, but those will be very limited releases. Everybody can over oak whiskey.
Right.
And I think that if you make it well with the right ingredients, with the right cuts, with the right expressions, I think you're drinking a proof in the pudding, so to speak, that you can have a really, really nice whiskey in that 4 to 6 year range. And that's where we believe it's the right space to be. And that's honest. It's not like, if extracting dollars out of the barrels was something we were going to do, we would have done that a long time ago. So we're really following like the way the palate drives us. And so we certainly do want to highlight the grain. At the same time, we don't want to have somebody drink whiskey and go, well, this is young.
Right.
But some people are going to drink it who, are fans of 10-year whiskey. And what that does is that showcases the barrel. And that's not our business. Our business is seed to spirit, right?
Gotcha. Yeah. So sort of, Fred, what you were asking, I kind of see they want to highlight the, not necessarily younger whiskey, but grain forward one. And Donnie's asking, like, any plans for an 8-year-old barrel or oldest whiskey you guys have released so far?
I think we've done a 6-year single barrel, but
Okay.
the absolute oldest that we can release right now, it would be on December 21st, who would be 7 years.
Okay. Gotcha.
But on December 21st, we were making corn whiskey. So I think, if I remember right, I think February 2nd is when we filled barrel number 1 and number 2, and those are still sitting right now.
Gotcha. So it's more of like a we'll see.
It's right. So we will have some that will sit back and let cook for a while longer, but our plan is not to be a supplier of 8-year-old, 9-year-old whiskey across our portfolio.
Well, I mean, having your base product being at least 4 years old is a huge achievement in itself. You see a lot of the small, like, craft distilleries coming out and, putting out 2-year-old, 1-year-old. I mean, I'm sure when you start out, of course, but a lot of distilleries continue that trend and don't necessarily let their whiskey age past a certain point. So I think that you guys you're setting your baseline at that 4-year mark, which is awesome.
Yep. And our bottle and bond will be that 5 or 6 year mark. And we'll continue to do that.
Yeah, I think I'm really enjoying this Bourbon Bond bourbon. I saw someone in the chat was enjoying it earlier as well. This, 100 proof is, I'm a bit of a proof hound, so I like higher proof whiskeys. So 100 proof hits right at the right spot for me.
Our validation for the bottle and bond was, we have two. So Binny's is a big retailer within the state of Illinois. Mm-hmm. And when they reviewed it, their closing statement was that Whiskey Acres Bottle and Bond bourbon is setting a new standard for craft whiskey.
Wow.
So I couldn't have asked for a better endorsement there. And then like secondarily to that, our bottle and bond won a double gold at the San Francisco World Spirits Competition. And awesome. Craft distilleries don't come in and win that. and so we're darn proud of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one's great. So let's move on to what I know is the more difficult grain to distill. I don't know about grow. You'll have to let me know that. Let's move on to the rye whiskey. So have you guys been growing rye like traditionally in that area? Is that kind of a common grain that's grown?
Not at all.
Okay.
Yep. So here for the geeks out here, here's some farmer geek for you. In the state of Illinois and in the United States in general, rye is not a cash crop. Rye is grown as a cover crop. You plant it in the fall. The roots take hold. You get a little bit of plant structure, and they prevent soil erosion and nutrient leaching. And generally what happens is in the spring, you till that rye back into the soil to add organic matter, and you plant a subsequent crop. Rye is very rarely harvested. Because of that, there is very little research and development done in the United States on rye genetics. So when we go to buy rye seed, we have access to something that's called NVS rye, non-varietal specific rye. It's like buying grass seed at Menards, where you get something that's called grass, you get something that's called rye, but you have really no genetic background on it and have no expectations for what you're going to get. When you plant that, and if you let that go to grain, what happens, because our growing season in Illinois is so long, because our nutrient-rich soil is so dense, that rye grows and it grows and it grows and will often get 8 to 10 feet tall. You plant that rye in the fall, and you generally harvest it in mid to late July. What always happens between May 15th and the 4th of July in the state of Illinois is a big weather event with 50-mile-an-hour wind and 2 inches of rain that acts like a bulldozer and knocks that rye over and makes it's called lodging, and makes it unharvestable. So when you've got rye laying on the ground, if you even do harvest it, you've got dirt and infections and things that you really don't want in your rye grain that you're ultimately going to make whiskey from. All that being said, they grow a whole bunch of rye in Canada, and they've done a ton of research and development on new rye genetics. We work with a farmer friend, and I'll give a shout out to Mike Swanson up at Far North Distillery in Halleck, Minnesota. They are to rye, and rye grain in the whiskey world is what we like to think we are to bourbon, to corn and bourbon whiskey. Dave Pickerel introduced us to Mike, and we together identified a specific variety of rye that's called AC Hazlitt that agronomically it grows way, way shorter than your typical rye that we have access to.
Gotcha.
And has a much stronger stalk. And so instead of being 8, 9, 10 feet tall, it's more like 5, 6, 7 feet tall. And it doesn't act like a sail, and almost always it's harvestable. So we picked those rye genetics for the agronomic characteristics of it. What we had no expectation of, no thought whatsoever, and we should have, was that this rye has a fantastic nose. And
that's all I've done so far. But I was going to say, I love the nose on this.
So this rye that you're drinking, let me catch up with you here. It's 75% rye and 25% corn.
Okay. So kind of like swapped a little bit. I mean, a little bit different.
A little bit different. And then we use a different yeast strain. This all comes from 53-gallon barrels as well. In this case, our rye is, the minimum is a 3-year barrel. There are 3 and 4 year barrels in this. Give me another 6 months or so, and everything in our straight rye will be transitioned to 4-year as well.
Awesome. And what's the proof that this is bottled at?
87 as well.
So same with the bourbon.
Straight.
Gotcha.
Yep. And so what you get out of this specific rye strain that we're using is almost more like a bourbon. You get these very sweet notes on the front nose, the bourbon, the caramel, the butterscotch, that are very complementary to the corn. That's a secondary ingredient. And instead of that very stereotypical hard, dense, spicy finish that you get in a rye whiskey, this is a much more softer, subtle, almost like a white pepper finish. And it's just it is loved by bourbon drinkers and often hated by traditional rye drinkers, because
I like both. So I'm excited.
and hated is a strong word, but when we get judges and we get judges notes back, it's judges who are like, this is like redefining and revolutionizing the rye industry. And then the other judges are like, not rye, tastes like bourbon. And to us, this is exactly what we wanted to come out of this.
I'm excited to try it. Fun. Cheers.
Cheers.
You know what's funny? The first thing that this reminds me of, it's crazy because I don't know if you've had Barrel Seagrass. These guys in the chat will know what I'm talking about. It's a rye whiskey from Barrel, and they source it from all over. So they're sourcing Indiana rye, they're sourcing Canadian rye. I think there's even Polish rye in it. And then they finish it in both rum casks and apricot brandy casks. So it's ridiculously complex. I'm getting similar notes from that ridiculously complex whiskey on this. And I'm not sure. It could be just that rye grain or the different strain that you guys have of the rye is so different and so unique that I think it's pulling me in a different direction than just the typical rye whiskey. Is there certain notes that you think that this has that other typical ryes, like you said, the ones that everyone's like, this isn't a rye? What makes it different flavor-wise from those ryes that we're familiar with?
Well, I think most of the ryes you're familiar with are going to, at this moment where I just had a sip and you're enjoying the finish, most of them are just going to be kind of what I consider to be like high heat and spiciness. I don't think the finish on this is just soft and subtle and long. You get some of the, to me, every once in a while, like I'll get a little bit of dill, but
not
really,
too much. Great. I'm just going off of that. Our friend Brandon, he's slowly getting into ryes, and one thing he doesn't like is that dill note. I don't think it's dominant. To me, this drink's
it's
so
not
much
dominant at all. It's very subtle. But to me, it's like all the good things about rye bread without any of like the bad, like bitter, spicy notes that you often get.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned Canadian rye kind of being the inspiration behind this, or just in some ways. I almost am getting some of those notes because I've had some of the higher proof Canadian whiskeys, like JP Weiser's is putting out, and it's giving me a little bit of those because I've always thought Canadian rye tasted different. I don't know why. I'm not a grain expert like you are, but I've always felt like they had a unique note to their rye. So I'm almost wondering, is it just the variety of rye itself that's making that much of a difference? Again, you said the grain's the most important aspect of a whiskey. I think that's kind of shown here because it tastes so different.
I'm going to just make you fast forward and try the Bottled and Bond rye.
Okay. I just finished it, so I'll move on.
I'm going to blow your mind here.
Okay, let's do it. So why are we?
We manage the Bottled and Bond rye the same, in that all of our tax stamp labels have a harvest year on it as well. So the Bottled and Bond rye is a 4.5 year old expression. We'll get it to 5 when we can get it there, but. What's interesting that I've never found a good answer to is that it's just kind of industry knowledge that rye whiskey ages more quickly than bourbon.
Right. And
I don't have the answer to why, but
I've heard that as well. And I don't even distill. So,
and so, in this case, 4.5 year old rye, is going to taste out more like a 6 or so year old bourbon. And so, I'll make the same analogy I made to you with the straight bourbon to the Bottled and Bond bourbon, from the straight rye to the Bottled and Bond rye, is that this is straight rye on steroids. The mouthfeel is so much more viscous. It's softer. The fruity notes come through. The finish is very long. It's so fun and fantastic.
Yeah, to me, that one, like flavor wise, it's a lot more similar to the other one as compared to the Bottom Bond bourbon compared to the bourbon. But like you said, everything's amped up because it is at that 100 proof. Now, it sounds like you are gravitating towards the higher proof ones as well. Is that kind of like, I mean, I know you put out the straight bourbon and the straight rye because that's, you want to be approachable and friendly. But do you guys have plans to do anything cask strength in the future?
We do them.
Oh, okay, even better.
So, yeah, we do them as single barrel releases that we call Distiller's Reserve that we do through the front door of our distillery. And then we have a lot of retail partners who come and pick single barrel picks. And so we don't have a vision for like a blend of cask strength. What we will do is cask strength single barrel offerings.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Here come all the nerdy questions. Sugar Kitty says, right. Column or pot still?
500-gallon pot with an 8-plate column. We distill on the grain. Mash in is between 9.5% and 10% ABV. We use what we call a constant proof distillation technique, which basically means that we adjust the input of the steam in the double boiler, as well as the cooling at the top and the defligmator to control the speed in which the vapor goes through, so that we have a target distillation proof of 135. So that when the distillation first happens, the heads crack off of the still, we make our cuts. And then at that point, like the proof is going to be really high. That runs for 5 or 10 minutes or so. We can kind of get the still under control, get the proof down to our target, and then we'll distill at 135 for the next 6 hours or so to make sure that we're maintaining a stable proof and stable flavor profile, which makes our heads and tails cuts much easier to identify and makes that distillate way more consistent.
That Sugar Kitty had a twofer. He said, "What's the cut like on the rye?" You just kind of taught a little bit to that. So,
I think I answered it, but I'm not sure. I don't know how else to answer that question. What's the cut?
So Sugar Kitty, if you need clarification. And then Andrew's asking, next up, what is the proof that you enter the barrel at with the rye?
Our standard entry proof is 120.
120.
Yep. So if you look through our warehouse, almost everything is like 119.8 or 120.1 or something. If you walk in and see something like 122.3 or something just slightly higher or slightly lower, the only reason we ever do that is if we've got like we're transitioning from bourbon to rye or rye to bourbon, and we know how much liquid we have, and we don't want to like fill a barrel by 10% or only fill a barrel 10%. So we'll concentrate the alcohol a little bit more to make sure that it can fit in 7 barrels instead of 7 1/10 of a barrel. So we increase the proof to get the gallons in there.
Gotcha. Oh, Sugar Kitty has clarification for their question. They said broad or narrow cuts on both ends of the cuts. That's too detailed. I don't even know what that means. Hopefully you do.
I honestly, I don't know. I'm not sure how to answer that as well.
Okay. I
mean, I'll give you like the day in the life of I'm making whiskey, and maybe that will answer her question. We fire the pot up, and it takes roughly 45 minutes or so to create vapor. For roughly 7 to 8 minutes, it will run what we consider to be heads, and we run them a little bit. Like when we think that we're out of heads, we always run for another minute or two just to make sure that it's extra clean. Then we make our cuts into hearts. That distills, as I described a little bit earlier, for 5 to 6 hours or so, maintaining that constant proof at around 135. Then as those sweet notes begin to erode, particularly like if you're making bourbon, you're looking like what I look for, and this is kind of farm boy mentality here, but you're looking for the transition from like that sweet, like molasses and freshly cut alfalfa, that's more like horse feed, to the transition to what comes out of the horse, where it's not like have you ever been in a horse barn? It's still kind of like sweet and fresh, but still smells still kind of stinky. And so you're looking for those like more processed and just like funky flavors and smells. And that's when we run that just a little bit. We want a little bit of that funk in the hearts, because that's what makes the magic happen in the barrel.
Gotcha.
And
And you know what's funny? I often give a note when I'm describing whiskey. I will say barnyard. And I think people think I mean that in a bad way, but I'm absolutely describing that note of like the hay and just the equipment, the leather, like all of, because I grew up, my sister had 2 horses growing up. So I'm very familiar with, horse farms. So I've always given that note, and I'm always scared because I feel like barnyard sounds negative, but it's never a negative note when I'm saying it.
Yep.
And also cheers, Independent Joe. Thank you for tuning in. Well,
So I hope
that
I answered her question there.
Yeah. It's running the extra minute answers the
Got
question.
it.
So
Okay.
thanks for the question, Sir Kitty. All right. So we have tried your core lineup. I think now we got about 10 minutes left. So let's move on to are they experimental, artisan cask? What do you call these last 2?
All right. So here is the bottle that
Artisan series. There we go. I was close.
So we call the Artisan series.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Artisan series is what we developed to really help us explore new grain varieties and really kind of launch them through the visitor center to kind of ground truth them, to get consumer experience. And honestly, we use a smaller bottle to stretch the supply, to make it a more approachable price point, and to really just kind of have something unique to delineate from our standard lineup. So our Artisan series, we have made bourbon from Oaxacan green corn and blue popcorn and Bloody Butcher and things like that I weren't ready, so I wasn't able to send you, but they are in barrels and will be scaled. This is one that we did where one day we were having a conversation with somebody who owned a maple syrup farm, and we went, light bulb, let's try finishing whiskey in a maple syrup cask. And we did. And our first couple iterations were a bourbon finished in those maple syrup casks and then put back into the bottle at 87 proof, because this was when we were just kind of following that, and it was pretty good. But then a lot of the bourbon geeks were like, Nick, we want cask strength. So so one of the challenges when you're doing a secondary finish, so just so you know what we're putting in, so we empty the bourbon barrels, we send them to maple syrup farms, then we get the barrels freshly back from them, and we take bourbon that's ready to go into a bottle, and instead of bottling it, we put it back into the barrels for at least 6 to 12 months.
Gotcha.
And those barrels sit right next to our boiler, so they are under constant heat pressure. We want to extract every little bit of that syrup that's in that barrel back into the distillate.
Wow.
But what happens in that process, so we pay the angel share the first time that we dump the whiskey, roughly 20%. In a year, in these finishing barrels, we're averaging 25% loss. And so coming back to the packaging, we have to put it into these smaller barrels to make sure, or these smaller bottles to make sure that we can spread the juice, so to speak, and also to have an approachable price point. This bottle, it's a $47.99 bottle. It is not inexpensive. I sell out in 2 hours when we release this stuff.
I was going to say, well, speaking of which, you guys, I mean, not to sidetrack, but you guys are having a big release tomorrow. So you mentioned the blue popcorn bourbon. Is that's what's coming out tomorrow?
That's what's coming out tomorrow. And so this is symbolic of the transition. So we ground truth the blue popcorn. We made sure that it worked. We made sure there was a customer demand for it, made sure we could make it repeatably. And then we scaled it. And so this will be, I think, our second release of blue popcorn as an Artisan series, but in the 750 ml bottles. And it's delicious. We use this. We use it's not an heirloom varietal, but it's called Shaman Blue Popcorn. And go back to my days with Dave. I have a friend in Western Illinois who raises blue popcorn, and so it was on my mind one day. I said, "Hey, Dave, how do you make bourbon from popcorn?" And he just kind of laughed. The Dave laughed and said, "I don't know. I don't think it's ever been done before." So I hung up the phone with Dave. I called my buddy over in Western Illinois and said, "Hey, Andy, can I get some popcorn from you?" And he had that like long pause. I'm not going to be your popcorn competitor. I want to try to make whiskey out of it. And that conversation happened like in the first week of April. He sent me seed, or sent us seed, the next day or the week or something. We had the seed in the ground that spring. We harvested that fall and immediately made whiskey from it. We waited a couple of years. We let it age in small barrels. We released it. We knew it was novel. It was interesting. So then we scaled it. This year, moving into 2022, it will represent almost 20% of our production.
Wow.
There's nobody else doing it.
That's so cool. I know a couple people here in the chat are actually planning to be there for that release. He said the last one sold out in 2 hours, so you guys should probably get there pretty early. Well, cool. We'll talk a little bit about that at the very end, but I do want to try this maple cask because I've only tried one other whiskey that actually did something similar. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Tom's Foolery.
I've heard of them, but I've never had their maple.
So my friend Ian, he's not here in the chat, but he's here sometimes. He actually is a big fan. That's his local distillery. I forget. He's in Ohio, I believe. So it's one of the locals, very, very small. I've actually had them on the show before. They're fantastic folks behind that. But they also did a maple cask. So I'm curious to see, this is different approach to it. I think theirs was very, very sweet. But this on the nose, though, I think this is still whiskey forward. I don't think it's sweet.
That's the point.
Yes, it's not overpowering.
118 proof.
But seeing theirs wasn't cast strength either, so very excited to try this. Cheers.
That's the secret. That's the secret to this is you let the heat from the cask balance the sweetness from the maple.
Oh wow. Not at all what I was expecting. To me, I guess I said I had that one experience with one other one, and that one was so sweet and so maple forward. This, though, I feel like it has the mouthfeel, the thickness, the richness of like what you would expect from that. But to me, it's only complementing the flavors of the actual bourbon itself. It's not taking over.
That's the secret to the proof. Mm-hmm. And that's our objective here. It's on paper, it's a flavored whiskey, but in practice, it is bourbon first. And that's exactly what we want.
Yeah, and
it finishes. That's what you experienced.
It has a little bit of the finish of the actual maple flavor. That's where I'm getting it the most on the finish. But that's delicious. I mean, so far, I'm like, do you got any more of those bottles? That's so good. I imagine it's sold out. But
it is, yes.
Yeah. Well, Diana asked, do you allow purchases over the phone?
We would love to do that.
They want their hands on the blue popcorn.
we can't do that. We'd love to, but. So, Diana, I'm not sure where you're from, Diana, but if you're in Illinois, you can get it at our visitor center. You can get it at all the Benny's locations. And then we have a ton of retail partners in the Fox Valley, like Hammers and Royal Wren and Lundin's and, some of the really cool partners out there that you send me an email, nick@whiskeyacres.com. You can welcome to share that. I'll help you find it if you need help.
Yeah, Diana is in Tennessee, but I know she knows someone in Illinois that's hopefully going to go get her a bottle tomorrow. So.
Check Sealbox. I feel like Sealbox can ship to Tennessee. They did get a small allocation of it.
Gotcha. Well, that was fantastic. I'm really excited. This next one is something that I'm not familiar with. I did a quick Google search for what this actually means. So this last one we're trying is you pronounced it properly earlier, and I forget how you pronounce it. Tell us what we're drinking for our last one.
All right. So let's start with Nocino. Nocino is the word you're looking for.
Thank you.
Nocino.
Okay.
And it's a traditional Italian digestif with the primary flavor grain is black walnuts. And so what you do is historically or traditionally you harvest the black walnuts on the summer solstice when they're still green. You chop them up, you throw them into high proof alcohol, and this is where how we interpret it. We throw them into used barrels with the chopped up walnuts, about 155 proof, 100% 100% corn whiskey. Then we add cocoa nibs, cloves, cinnamon sticks, coffee beans, Madagascar vanilla beans. Wow. And that all goes into a barrel until roughly November 1st. Then we empty that barrel, do a little filtration, add simple syrup, and proof it down for a liqueur that's 35%. And it is Christmas in a bottle.
That sounds like it. Sounds delicious. I've never had anything like that.
This year, what we did was, all right, so we've got an empty Nocino cask. Let's put bourbon back in it and see what happens.
Gotcha.
So that's what you're tasting here is bourbon whiskey finished in an Nocino cask at cask strength.
Cask strength. Awesome.
So I think
Emily is a Nocino fan. She says, swoon, my favorite non-whiskey. Well, Emily, I'm glad it's maybe experienced the essence of Nocino. Apparently I need to buy some bottles of it too.
It's 121 proof. I think Waterford Distillery out of Ohio might be the only other distillery I'm aware of that's done anything like this.
Oh wow, nose. I get what you mean on the nose. Like it's definitely Christmassy. Yeah, that cinnamon and that like. There's like a I have to try it. It's very interesting of a nose. Cheers. You know what's funny? This reminds me. There's a distillery out here called Savage and Cook,
Yep.
and they have a whiskey called Sweater Weather. I don't know if you've seen it. It literally has a sweater on the bottle, like
Okay.
a knitted sweater, and it's not the same thing, but it has that same like cinnamon. It's infused with cinnamon, and the only reason I'm saying that is like this is reminding me of that. I've never had that flavor before, except in that whiskey. Yeah, they infused theirs with cinnamon, nutmeg, clove, cocoa nibs, and vanilla beans. So very, very similar to what this is. Very
The only
cool.
difference is we don't directly infuse it.
Right. You're
We
using
just
the
use the
cask.
barrel remnants.
Yeah, and I think that makes it whiskey forward, similar to the maple syrup one. So you're not getting a liqueur in a glass. You're getting a bourbon that's taking on some of those sweeter characteristics, those unique spices, and especially on the finish. I mean, this one to me is more upfront than on the finish, but it's not overwhelming, and that's what the beauty of it I think is.
This was a let's try it.
Mm-hmm.
And we only sold this through the front door of our visitor center. We've got some bottles left. But if you want it, you got to come to DeKalb, Illinois to get it.
Oh man, I mean, and I imagine that was also sold out.
We actually did quite a bit of it, but
Okay.
it went pretty quickly. And it's one of those where we're truly like building the concept, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody, you didn't know how to pronounce it, right?
No,
No,
yeah, I
no
was like, I
offense
have no
intended
idea
there,
what that
right?
word is, but
Yeah. So the understanding of what this product is pretty low. So we taste it out during all of our tours now, and
mhm.
just really like want to encourage people to experience this.
I can even see someone that, even though it is at cask strength, I think those flavors are so familiar and so approachable that someone that may not normally like a higher proof whiskey would gravitate towards this because
Yep.
it's sweet. It has some very holiday spice notes to it. I mean, shoot, add this to some apple cider or something, and like, oh, you got a drink right there.
Yeah. Put an ice cube in it. I mean,
That
it's
too.
something
Yeah.
as simple as that.
Mhm.
It is so easy to do.
Mm. That's super interesting. Like I said, the only reason I mentioned the Savage and Cook is it's the only thing that I've had that's similar to it, but that's more of infusing the whiskey. This is more using the actual cask. So the whiskey is forward and dominant and delicious.
Thank
Well,
you.
I know we're a little bit over time, but you mentioned the blue popcorn bourbon is coming out tomorrow at the distillery. For those that are curious, is there a time that you guys are launching that? Like when should people show up?
Yep. We open at 3:00.
Okay.
The weather is not supposed to be good tomorrow. We will not let people in early just for chaos management. But I'll have several fire pits going on our sidewalk on the entryway in to make your outdoor experience as comfortable as possible. We have a 2-bottle limit. We're going to do our best to make sure that as many people who want it can get access to it. But I can tell you've been surprised, blessed, flattered, and surprised at the demand for things like this, and certainly expecting to see that tomorrow. Or expecting is wrong. Hopeful to see that tomorrow, and really just want to make sure that like if you want it, don't show up Saturday. Is my
No, I gotcha. And for the rest of us that aren't local, Independent Joe is dropping the link to Whiskey Acres on Sealbox. Their products are available there. I'm not sure exactly which ones. You mentioned the Bottle and Bond was available there.
So Sealbox will have straight bourbon, straight rye, bottle and bond bourbon, bottle and bond rye. They did take a little bit of an allocation of the maple cask. I don't know whether they have anything left or not.
If they
And
do, buy it. It's so good.
and they did get a small allocation of the blue popcorn bourbon as well. I just don't know whether it's made it into their system or not. It's shipped out earlier this week, so I don't know if it's physically there yet.
Gotcha. Well,
I have a completely random thing I want to share.
Go
just
for
based
it.
off. I live in Batavia, Illinois now, and a brother of one of my very good friends wrote a book called 8-Bit Christmas that has now been turned into a movie.
Wait, the movie. I saw the trailer for that. I love that trailer. Wow.
So I've read the book, and and we're having a viewing party for the movie on Saturday. But it's like it's been, I mean, the book that I've read and everyone it's like modern day Christmas story. But it's about this kid's quest to get a Nintendo.
I even shared that trailer on my Facebook page when it first came out. I'm like, this seems so cool. It's right up my alley.
Yeah.
That's
and
great.
so that's why I bring it up, because I highly encourage you and your audience to check it out, because I think it'd be very, very appropriate.
Absolutely. Well, since you mentioned that, are you much of a gamer? Did you play games growing up or anything? Or
no, I bought my first Xbox when I was 24 years old.
Okay.
So,
well,
but
yes. So I usually ask that question, but I also I always feel like I don't want to catch people off guard. You asked me earlier, are there any curveballs? I'm like, I won't ask them that, but you brought this up, so I'm going to ask him anyways. Well, very cool. Yeah, I definitely plan.
One other thing I'm making up for my lack of video games as a child.
Okay.
My basement has like 110-inch projection screen. It came with my house. And I hooked up the original like Nintendo to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I now play Super Mario Brothers 3 on a 110-inch projection screen TV right now. So I'm making up for what my mom would let me have when I was 7 as well.
All right, we'll excuse it. We'll let it slide. No, that's awesome, man. I love the retro games. That's kind of part of my thing here. So yeah, that's exciting. So you said that the screening of that is it this Saturday at the distillery?
It's screening. It's a personal thing. It's available on HBO. Is it Max or HBO Now?
Max, yeah.
Max, like right now.
Okay, gotcha. Well,
and I see Diana. It's nick@whiskeyacres.com.
Yeah, if anyone wants to drop that in the chat, I'll highlight it on the screen for anyone that wants to reach out to him for any reason whatsoever. Well, Nick, thank you so much for coming on. This was so much fun. I can't wait to hopefully eventually try the blue popcorn bourbon if it doesn't sell out instantly. But this was an absolute pleasure. I loved having you on, answering all these amazing, nerdy questions, but these guys love it. And we all appreciate you guys being in the chat and asking your questions. But most of all, we appreciate you, Nick, for coming on and telling us a little bit about farming. I learned a lot, honestly. Like, I'm not going to go start a farm, but I learned a lot.
Well, Clifton, I appreciate your platform and all of your audience's time and attention. And I hope, we maybe taught some people a few things and would just strongly encourage everyone to come visit us. We have a beautiful space and we give great tours and just have an incredible team that gives all our guests a great experience, and would love to share that with you on site.
That's awesome. So I dropped
and one other thing.
Yep. You
don't have to be from Kentucky to make bourbon. That's one thing that is my goal in life to tell this story.
If only more people knew that, that's not a thing, but that's awesome. I love the shirt. So I put Donnie dropped the link here, or the email address to Nick there. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to him after the show. But thank y'all for watching. Like I said, new podcast episode drops in the morning. So Bourbon Bytes podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. And then Saturday is gonna be another Twitch gaming stream. So just find me all over the internet. But Nick, thank you so much. This was so much fun. And everyone else, have a wonderful rest of your night. I'm heading over to the after party on Discord for patrons. So cheers, y'all, and have a wonderful night.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bourbon Bytes Whiskey Reviews with a Halloween twist. Happy Halloween, everyone. Whether you're watching this live or the replay, it is currently Halloween, so I thought, why not just wear my very cozy Charmander onesie just to get in the spirit, because tonight is going to be something that I don't do often on this whiskey. Promise I haven't been drinking yet. Something I don't do often on this channel, and that is drink-flavored whiskeys. Now, I know the thought of that probably terrifies a majority of you, like it does me. But I purposely picked out 5 fall-themed flavored whiskeys to work our way through tonight and do a bit of a ranking to see if any of these, for a whiskey drinker, someone that drinks whiskey neat, loves a good whiskey cocktail, are any of these worth trying this season? Whether, you're watching this year or next year, whenever you're in the mood for those fall vibes, do you grab your onesie like this, or do you pour yourself some peach pecan flavored whiskey? Well, we're going to find out tonight. So, should be a fun one. I know a lot of people are out doing their own family things today, so I thought I would just do a non-serious stream for tonight and just have some fun with it. So, appreciate y'all tuning in, watching the show. It might get a bit crazy. These are all going to be so sweet. I put up a poll on my Instagram before I went live, and I was like, how are these not going to be awful? Or what did I say? What did I post exactly? I said, how bad could they be? Let's see how the results are coming out on that poll. I think they're going to be pretty bad. Oh, man. So far, only Todd is ranked in. He gave it like a pretty high ranking. Okay, Todd, I see you. Maybe they're not going to be as bad as what we think. But I'm kind of excited, but also kind of terrified tonight. If you notice in the Super Chats over there, we have a new feature on YouTube called Super Chat Goals. So, I've set my first goal tonight at a measly 10 Super Chats. Well, okay, that sounds awful. Wow. Didn't think about that when I said it out loud. Only 10 Super Chats is all it takes to get the prize. And the prize is me mixing every single one of these flavored whiskeys and topping it with some Total Wine advertised brand pumpkin spice Irish cream. And of course, doing a chug. So that's if we get up to $20 in the Super Chat. I think it has to be separate. I don't think it can be it's not based on dollar amount. It's based on the numbers. So divide it up. You'll see it has to be at least $2. I think the rules are all there. I don't know. I've never used this feature. But yeah, if you want to see Cliffy mix all this whiskey and give it a bit of a pumpkin spice topping, well, we'll have to see if we get there. If not, we'll just do without. I tried putting that in my coffee the other day, and I was like, I'm not like an Irish coffee person. Like when I drink coffee, I don't usually add alcohol. But honestly, this just made it just taste like alcoholic coffee. Like the pumpkin spice flavor, you have to put a lot of it to actually get the influence. Now, never tried it with whiskey. Have no idea how that's going to turn out. So hopefully tonight we don't have to, unless you guys make it happen. But otherwise, we do have some fun whiskeys here to do live. Want to say hello to a few folks. Hello, Taste and Sensibility. How's it going, Doug? Good to see you, man. Four Leaf Whiskey is here. What's up, Stacey? Cheers, everyone. Happy Halloween and almost a Celtic New Year. Oh, very nice. I did not know when that was approaching us. Tater Dom says, cheers, Charmander and everyone. Well, cheers to you. Thank you for tuning in this Halloween. Tony says, happy Halloweener. Jeans, weeded wiener, that is. Reese's are the GOAT. I do agree. Reese's are... I think, if I had to pick a favorite candy, I haven't thought about this in a long time because I don't eat candy very often. Reese's are up there, but I think Butterfingers are one step above Reese's for me. Butterfingers, then Reese's. I love them both, but that's my choice. James Taylor is here. Good to see you. Happy Halloween to you. Tony with the first super chat. Well, we are. I guess we're gonna probably meet this goal. We'll see. Tony, thank you so much. Happy Halloween to you, my friend. If you guys are dressed up and joining the after party, I want to see your costumes. So put them on. Or if you have pets that are dressed up or kids, I want photos. I posted on my Discord earlier. Like, please post all your cute pet and children photos on my Discord. I want to see the costumes tonight. I'm sure there's some fun ones. I've already seen some crazy ones on TikTok already. So I want to see what you guys are up to. Or, I say pets and children as if you guys aren't dressing up. I dressed up. So let me see your costumes as well. James, good to see everyone. Well, good to see you. Tony, why are you attracted in? What did I say? I don't even remember what I said. Let's get going. I need to get drinking because we got some very sweet, candy sweet, shall I say, whiskeys tonight. That mix sounds awful. Well, you guys know what you put me up to. We'll see. We'll see if we get there tonight. Donnie is here. He is dressed up as a grumpy old man. Well, good to see you in rare form tonight, Donnie. Maybe. But yeah, so we got 5 different ones. If you saw the thumbnail, you know what we're drinking, but I'll go ahead and run through them. The one I mentioned earlier is an Old Camp Peach Pecan Whiskey. This is whiskey with natural flavors, 35% ABV, 70 proof. We have another this is a popular flavored whiskey brand. This is Bird Dog. This is 70 proof as well, gingerbread flavored whiskey. So I said fall themes, but I was like, what's kind of like holiday? Yes, some of these kind of cross over into winter, Christmas, whatever. But I'm going to think what would you want, Thanksgiving-y? So got gingerbread. I feel like gingerbread could work during the holidays. Of course, a favorite slash not favorite in the world of flavored whiskey, Knob Creek, my beloved brand namesake that I say namesake like it's mine, but Knob Creek is like one of my favorite bourbons. Maple, I actually don't know if I've ever tried this. I think I might have had it in an old fashioned once, but never had it by itself. It is open because my husband stole a pour, but he's like, ooh, Knob Creek. I'm like, oh, it's not going to be what you expect. So I asked him not to tell me what he thought of it. So we're going to find out a live first reaction to that one. And we also have the Elusive. By Elusive, I mean, this is literally allocated, at least in my area. It was a 2-bottle limit, and I had to wait for it to come in stock before I can order it. The Blackberry Crown Royal. Now, this technically came out, I think, during the summer, but I always associate Blackberry with, like, I don't know, the fall. Like Blackberry cobbler pies, I guess, and it could be, I always think of Blackberry pie. So I always associate that with the fall. So tonight, it's a fall whiskey. So, lastly, we have a release that I've not seen. I don't know if it's new this year or it's just, I've just never noticed it. It's an Evan Williams spiced cider. So this one says a seasonal blend of apple cider liqueur, Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, and caramel color. So this is the only one that says bourbon. Oh, no, sorry. The Knob Creek is also a bourbon. So the Old Camp and the Bird Dog just say flavored whiskey. Crown Royal says flavored whiskey, which we know it's probably Canadian whiskey. Evan Williams, like I said, it's like apple liqueur and bourbon. So we'll see. What's up, Swan? Good to see you. Actually, like the peach pecan. Oh, okay, great. I think I opened it, but I don't think I've tried it. I just want to make sure I can open everything for the stream. I can have all the peanut butter candy. Oh, not a fan. I'm a huge peanut butter lover. Also, hi Emily. Good to see you. Swan's barely awake. Well, hey, I'll keep it quick. Let's get to the hangout. No, I'm here for the stream, but the hangouts, the after party is always fun. If you don't know, we do our weekly after party hangout after these Thursday night live streams. Everybody on Patreon, $10 and up, get access. So if you're interested, patreon.com/Bourbon Bytes. I'm sure Donnie will probably post a link to momentarily. James said, is the summer limited release, salted caramel is the limited winter release. Okay, so I'm in between seasons, right? But I think of Blackberry as fall. So I made up this. It's my stream. Tony was trying to get me to add Jack Daniel's Tennessee Honey to this. Or no, it wasn't Jack Daniel's. It was the Jimmy Russell one, the American Honey. He's trying to get it added. I was like, honey is to me, I think of like a springtime flavor, but we're not going to have that argument again, Tony. Evan Spice Cider is one of the OGs. It's an oldie. Okay, cool. I've just never seen it. I think it's because it wasn't where it was closer to like the mixer section, at least at the Total Wine I went to. There was like the flavored whiskey section, but this was kind of in the liqueur section. So maybe it was just misplaced. I don't know. Thank you, Donnie, for the Patreon link. Yes. Movies night, we just had our 80s horror movie night last weekend. We watched Maximum Overdrive, which was a really bad but really fun movie to watch with friends. So Tony said I brought it up. I did bring it up. James said I just bought the Blackberry but haven't opened it. Looking for your opinion. All right, well, James, we will find out tonight. So for those of you just joining, like I said, there's a super chat goal. If we meet it, I will drink all of these and top it with some pumpkin liqueur Irish cream. So should be awful, but I'm excited. All right. Shall we get into this? Okay, I'm trying to think of which one to do first. Okay, I don't want to do this the spiced cider or the spiced apple Evan Williams, only because it's the lowest proof and it's like a cocktail already. I want to do the actual flavored whiskeys. They are all 70 proof except the Knob Creek, which is 90 proof. Well, you know what? Since I was talking about the old camp, let's go and try that one. So this is, like I said, it says peach pecan whiskey. I do love peach cobbler. I do love pecan pie. So I'm very excited for this. Now, it just says bottled by Old Camp Whiskey in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. That gives me a good idea where it's probably distilled. Doesn't say distilled there, but I assume it probably is. Now, I didn't know if I needed to drink these neat or with ice, so I did bring a glass of ice to kind of drop some cubes in if desired. Peaches are so fall. Thank you. I'm glad you guys agree with that. All right, so I probably shouldn't pour too much. Like I said, these are all so sweet. Yeah, peach pecan. This doesn't say anything about like if it's like, it just there's something embossed on it, and it just is embossed with smooth whiskey. So I am sure it's very smooth. Made for the expedition, Old Camp, USA. With its slightly sweet and smooth drinking ways, Old Camp is right at home on the rocks. Or with your favorite mixer. All right. That one specifically said on the rocks, so let's drop an ice cube in. All right. So you will have to have all of these with ice. Okay. Well, I brought ice just in case, but I wanted to put them in a Glencairn because this is a serious whiskey tasting channel after all. I'm sure our friends at Kilholman love the fact that I'm using their Glencairn to put some peach flavored whiskey in it, but please forgive me. I'm a sucker for free glasses, even if it is other brands. Smooth, yes. Fred says, hey all, yes, it's definitely very important where your flavored whiskey is distilled. Listen, I think it makes a difference. If it says flavored bourbon, I'm like, okay, there's standards. If it says flavored straight bourbon whiskey, I'm like, okay, there's even more standards. Like the Knob Creek says Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey with natural flavors. That one I'm excited for. We'll see. Yeah, so we are starting with, I forgot which one we were already having. All right, so these are going to be so sweet. So that's why it's on theme with our trick or treat of the night. Cheers to you all. Trick or treat, we'll find out. We're going to rank these as my favorite or least favorite. But we're going to go for the peach pecan whiskey first. Cheers. Happy Halloween. I guess I should have nosed it first. I'm just, with it being a flavored whiskey, I'm like, what am I looking for? Oh, okay. I will say the nose, as I took the first sip, was all peach. Like very, very sweet. Not quite peach rings, maybe more of like a peach syrup. Like, I feel like I've had in the past, like, go to like a pancake restaurant and they have like the maple syrup, the blueberry. Pretty sure I've had a peach syrup. That's what it is on the nose. Yeah, none of the pecan on the nose at all. It's just sweet, sweet peach. But on palate, it's more, at first it's like, oh, it's like a peach pie. Because it has like a bit of a graham cracker kind of note. But I think that's supposed to be the pecan note, or pecan. It's there. To me, it's not reading as nutty. It's reading more like a pie crust. Like I said, like a peach cobbler. So I feel like maybe if this is called peach cobbler whiskey, I would believe it. Because the nuttiness isn't super apparent. There's a little bit of like, it kind of does remind me a little bit of like an amaretto, but not really. It's really, really peachy. And it's sticky, by the way. My lips are already sticking together. The syrup from canned peaches. Probably. Cliffy, what are supposed to be? Oh, I'm Charmander, obviously. There's so many Charizard versions of these, but I'm like, no. I was the person that kept my Charmander a Charmander. He was like, I literally as a child used to dream that I had like a little pet Charmander. So he was always my favorite. He still is, even today, like as I got older and played some of the later games, Charmander is still my favorite. So I got my onesie. This is one of the expensive ones. This is like $100. But it's very comfy. It's not just a costume. It's nice. It's also extra large. Like, look how big this is on me. Hold on. See this? This is huge. I also have a tail. So, that's pretty cool. So, I'm loving it. It's comfy. But it's also, in Southern California, it's not very cool. So, it's like still pretty hot. So, I'm going to be sweating. I might be unbuttoning some of these buttons. Now, whether or not there's something underneath, you'll have to stick around for the after party to find that out. But yeah, I don't think this is bad. I just think I don't get the pecan note that I thought I was going to get in it. Definitely peach though. It's definitely enjoyable. I see, Swan, you said you like this one, but yeah, that's not bad at all. Does it taste like something that I would want to just sip on neat? No, it's sticky, it's syrupy. It's more of a shot kind of thing. Over ice is not bad. That was a good suggestion, Swan. But yeah, not bad at all. I would put this, if I was debating if I wanted to do like the tier list like I did with the Four Roses, which is like a serious, I was seriously ranking those, but I was like, no, I'm just going to rank these from favorite to least favorite. This one's like towards the top so far. I mean, it's the first one I've tried, but I feel like it's going to place pretty well. So I probably should have poured a little less. Lemonade makes it tasty. Ooh, okay. Yeah, I'll have to try that. Like I said, I'm just trying these with ice tonight, or potentially mixed together if we hit the super chat goal. We'll see. Taste and Sensibility says, I am sipping the Knob Creek Smoked Maple. 1 Glen is enough. Yeah, we'll get to that. I'm saving that one because it's higher proof. But shake your groove thing. What's up, Fred? Pecan is correct. Pecan is correct. Pecan is what you use when there's no bathroom. Okay, I grew up in South Carolina. We said pecan, like especially like with pies, like pecan pie. But I've just started saying pecan because I feel like people are going to judge me for saying pecan. But yeah, it's good. I like it. I had 3 Glens. I only brought 3 Glens. And I do want to do a little side by side. This one ranked high enough that I feel like I don't have to keep it in the glass to know how I feel about it. So I'm gonna go ahead and chug it and finish it. We're gonna get a bit of a sugar high and a little bit tipsy tonight with these. So you're in for a show, that's for sure. May or may not end up out of this outfit by the end of the night. We'll see. I could be like, how the Twitch streamers are like, oh, no, I'm not gonna like, oh, super chat me. I'll flash you a Charmander. Not gonna say that. All right, let's keep drinking. Wow. Sorry, I'm just hyped today. I've had a lot of sugar. We've had candy at work. We've had desserts and just lots of things. So I already have a sugar high. If there's only 3, I'm buying 7 more super chats, Tony. You know what? You can. There's no limit there. Good start. Oh, man. Chugging that, you get the real sense of the quality of whiskey that's in here. The alcohol burn is more of that chemical kind of like, like when you were in college having like cheap vodka. Like that kind of burn is definitely apparent. This is not their highest grade alcohol, which why would it be, right? But let's move on. All right. Let's move on to this one. Like I said, this brand I've seen a lot. This is Bird Dog. Now, they're most popular. They actually have a blackberry whiskey too, which someone suggested, oh, why don't you do their blackberry whiskey versus the Crown Royal Blackberry? Great idea. Maybe we'll do it for a different stream. If you guys do want to see a comparison, we'll see how the Crown Royal is tonight, but I'm okay for doing that. I wanted to pick up the gingerbread because I'm like, okay, I want some variety with our flavors here tonight. So this is gingerbread flavored whiskey. Let's see if we have any info on it. Like I said, 70 proof. Learn more. Oh, there's a QR code. Made with real Kentucky bourbon. Okay. But it says flavored whiskey. Okay, that's good to know. Caramel color added, which I think all of these have color added. Maybe not the Knob Creek, but yeah. Made with real Kentucky bourbon. Bottled for Western Spirits by Three Springs Bottling Company in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Bowling Green. That sounds familiar. Is there a distillery there that might create the source whiskey for this? I'm asking like I know, but I don't actually know. I just know Bowling Green sounds familiar. So it might be because just someone that we know lives there, but I feel like Bowling Green sounds familiar. Yeah, this thing's gonna get so sticky. There's Brad. Okay, maybe that's what I'm thinking of. I was like, I know Bowling Green. I'm like, do we know? But they have whiskey there. But anyways, so this is Bird Dog gingerbread flavored whiskey. Let's give it a nose. Oh, ew! I don't like that. Okay, second sip. Second note. I don't like the smell of this one. Like the other one, it smelled different than it tasted. But it smelled like peach. This, though, it kind of smells like... I feel like I'm smelling the space whiskey there, and it doesn't smell pleasant. It smells like very sterile. Like there's a note that I used to associate with some scotches, like some peated scotches, that I always call like a hospital note, like a burning hospital note, which is awful. This has that, but it doesn't have the burn. It just has like that sterile, like rubbing alcohol kind of nose. But there's like a weird, like sour thing going on. I guess I could see the gingerbread, but like, it's the most artificial smelling gingerbread. Like if you had a gingerbread candle, you wouldn't want it to smell like this. It just doesn't smell realistic. It just smells like super sweet. Little bit of cookie quality, but like an old, really old dry cookie. Taste and Sensibility says, get those super chats in, folks. Yes, we are well on our way to our goal. But thank you so much for the super chat, man. We'll get there. Like licking a candle. Emily, that's a good comparison. This does smell like a candle. Didn't I just say that? It is like a candle, but not a good one. Let's stop nosing it again. I don't think these whiskeys were meant to be nosed. Let me put an ice cube. Let's give it a fair comparison. Ice to do that. No, I have enough for all 5 of these. Give it a little swirl. I will say this one feels a bit thinner, like texture-wise. It feels a little less syrupy, but maybe that's because there wasn't ice in it. So let's see if we can... It added a little bit more consistency to it. If you can see, a lot of these flavored whiskeys, you can see the sugars kind of... it's kind of hard to see on camera. But you can kind of just see that there's some, like... something floating in the ground. Yeah, you can see it over there on the side right there. It adds a bit of like a texture to the. You can just kind of see the sweet syrupiness of it. The nose didn't get better with ice. Let's go for a taste. Cheers. Oh. Really intense flavor. I mean, man, it's like they overdid it with that flavor. It does taste like gingerbread. I'm not okay. It tastes more like it than it smells. But man, is that like perfumey? It's like they sprayed like just like a spritz of like gingerbread perfume, but instead of like doing a spritz, they kind of dumped the whole bottle. I don't know how I feel like that. I don't particularly like that at all. It does have an overall like it's more whiskey like than the old camp. I can taste that there's like something there in the base. It's not just like flavored vodka, but the flavor, it's too overpowering. One, it's too sweet, as probably all of these are going to be too sweet, but it's too overpowering. It's just really thick there. Some ridiculous. No, it's just I was just trying to show like the sugars, but it didn't really show up well on camera. Yeah, that's gonna be on my lower end, if not my least favorite. That was not good. I do not recommend. Now, I'm not completely writing off Bird Dog because I've heard that they've had some other flavors that are really good. This one just doesn't do it for me. Yeah. Chugging that at the end also. No. So far, that's my least favorite. I'm gonna start trying to rank these just roughly off camera, so that way it'll still be a surprise for you at the end. Yeah, I'm going up here. All right. Next up. Let's see. Let's go ahead and let's switch it up a little bit. Let's go for the Crown Royal Blackberry. Again, the allocated 2024 summer release. Let us see what this says. Blackberry flavored whiskey, 70 proof. Crown Royal Distilling Company. Let's see what they give us here. Our Crown Royal Blackberry flavored whiskey is a limited edition for the summer season. Okay. Yes. Sorry. It was allocated, guys. Okay, I didn't get it in the summer. To create this extraordinary blend, Crown Royal whiskeys are carefully selected by our master blender and infused with the juicy flavor of fresh blackberries. The harmonious notes of this summer fruit complement the signature richness of Crown Royal blended whiskey. The result is a vibrant, delicious whiskey, bursting with the luscious flavors of blackberry and the distinctive smoothness of Crown Royal, mixed with lemonade for a refreshing tasting cocktail. That's another recommendation for lemonade. Now, it does say imported by the Crown Royal Company of New York, but it does say product of Canada. So this is probably a blended Canadian whiskey. All right, let's move back to this glass. Yeah, it's free. Yeah, have any of y'all had this? I saw someone said, I think it was James who said he had a bottle of it. He hasn't opened it yet. Well, James, we're gonna find out right now if this is worth the hype. Like I said, it was a 2-bottle limit per person. It was not in stock when I first tried to buy it, which was back in the summer. No, Emily says allocated. Sure, it was. This sort of. Y'all remember when was it the peach one last year that did that? Like it came out and like you could not find it. It was so trendy. I guess it was like on TikTok or whatever, and you could not find it. Well, that was the case with this one too. I actually searched for it in multiple stores. Finally found it in limited quantities at one store, and that's why they said limit 2. Oh, Canada, yes. The Pappy of blackberry whiskeys. I mean, the competition is probably not too intense, but sorry, I was getting caught up on the chat. Donnie said, I poured a sour cherry liqueur, not quite flavored whiskey. Oh, cannot find flavored whiskey easily tonight. No, all good. The Michigan one. So that's the whiskey with cherries, which is what I was looking for. Traverse City from Germany. Interesting. Okay. 1 bottle per person with glass. See, I'm not lying. Peach Crown flew off the shelf a couple years ago. See, y'all know. So this is like it's no joke. It was allocated. Plus, it does come with a cool bag. I like the unique bags they do for each Crown release. You know how some people like make things out of these? They sew them into suits and stuff. But yeah, it's cool. I keep them. I think I have a Crown bag, like a Blanton's bag that I put my corks. Because a lot of times I'll save corks because sometimes my corks break. I just had a Deanston cork break 2 nights ago. And I have not quite dared to get the corkscrew and pull it out and try to not get it in the bottle. Waiting till I feel confident to do that. Maybe after a few drinks, but I do have some replacement corks ready to go. All right. Blackberry Crown Royal. Let's give it a nose. Ooh, yummy. That smells delicious. I don't know about as a whiskey, but that blackberry note, oh, that smells really good. It's like ice cream or like really natural smelling. Now, like cooked blackberries. Like I used to pick blackberries like off the trees growing up as a kid. This is definitely more like cooked down. Wow, it's more similar to like blueberries, I think, on the nose, but like, yeah, definitely it's like a little tart version of blueberries. Smells delicious. I don't smell whiskey at all. I don't know how I'm gonna feel about this. I do say I love the nose. That smells delightful. I want to eat it, but it's a whiskey. All right, let's hope it stands up on flavor because that's a great nose. Cheers. Oh, okay. Okay, Crown Royal. I mean, you've had several years and different releases to kind of experiment with this flavored stuff. That's not nearly as sweet as I thought it was going to be. It's not as thick and syrupy as the other ones. It's the same proof. It's 70 proof, but that actually tastes like whiskey. Whoa. Oh, I may have found a new favorite. Let's try that again. I feel like the nose is so strong it's going to make me sneeze. It does smell like a candle, but a good candle. All right. Swan said I used one of these flavored whiskeys to make bourbon balls. Oh, nice. One of the ones that I have tonight, or just in general. That sounds really good, man. I just want to keep smelling it. It smells really good. Of all of them, this did not need the ice. I think drinking this neat would not be frowned upon. It's not overwhelmingly sweet. It is juicy. It does have those fruit characteristics. I think it drinks like a cocktail, like a true like a bourbon smash or something that has like actual berries in it. That is nice. I see why it's a summer release. Now, I bought it thinking fall. It is more bright. That was lemonade. Probably amazing. So that is, I don't know if it's worth the hype. I didn't pay that much for it. I think it was like 30, which I think most Crown Royal flavored whiskeys are. They're right around that price point, but that's going up there in my list. Traverse City. Yeah, I haven't had the Traverse City in a while. How low is the fill in the bottle with the broken cork? If it's pretty high, you can push it in and get it out with a zip tie. Like, oh, they're doing like a lasso and like dipping it in. It's like about halfway. Fred, I might need to follow up with you on that. We have not tried yet. Tony says okay. Don't know where we're going with this, but I'm over it. Swan says the Knob Creek. Well, that's where we're going to next. Maybe that's what he was. Oh, you used the Knob Creek maple. Okay, I gotcha. I thought you were finishing Tony's sentence there. Crown bag is good for dice. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I thought saying liqueur each time was a clue. Oh, when y'all talking about that. Okay. I think Bag Jonas has a message coming. Oh, it's taking a while. All right. So that Crown really impressed me. But we do have one more of the flavored whiskeys, and then the spiced apple Evan Williams, which is, like I said, it's more of a blend. It's a whiskey plus liqueur, but we're gonna consider it anyways. Let me finish this. This was the one I didn't like, the gingerbread. Gross. I guess I could have saved the ice. I've been trying to finish the ice as I'm cleaning it out. There we go. The Cliffy. I think I know where this is going. It might be a song, but we'll find out. I think there's a few more messages. Unless he wants to write out the whole song per super chat. You know, that would be pretty amazing. Every super chat is one word. Keep it going. I can retire tonight. All right. Let's go for the Knob Creek, shall we? I've heard some people mention they liked it. I know Swan said he makes it in the bourbon balls. Someone was sipping it earlier. Let's go for it. Like I said, I've never had this. I honestly was pretty disgraced about when I first discovered it. I don't understand the business and marketing decision to label this as Knob Creek, especially when Jim Beam already has a line of flavored whiskeys. Like, my only guess is they were trying to say it was more premium, right? They're using more premium whiskey. They're using straight bourbon whiskey to make it. They could be using what's normally selected as Knob Creek bourbon. So I get that. But like Knob Creek is such, like, I don't think Knob Creek makes a bad product under the name. All of it's at least, you know, the bourbon's all at least 9 years old, or the small batch, I think, at least. I know it went away for a while, but to put the Knob Creek name on a smoked maple flavored whiskey, I don't know. It just kind of weirded me out. I'm like, that just feels weird. It says Knob Creek small batch, so it is a small batch. Now this says distilled and bottled by Knob Creek Distilling Company, Claremont, Kentucky, 90 proof, so 45% ABV. So I give them that. That's awesome. But we'll see. Swan said I've used this for bourbon balls and boozy griddle cakes. Ooh, okay. Jumped. Oh, the Cliffy jumped. Oh, is this one of those things where you finish each other's things and make a story? Maybe. We'll see. I love it. I love a competition. Also, this one's 90 proof. Only one. Yeah, I agree. The only competitor I can think of that does something similar is that like 100 proof brand that does all the flavored vodka. Are they vodkas? Whatever that flavor, like 100. It's like 100 bananas, 100. Like I think it's vodka, but like I actually don't know. It's just something, some kind of spirit, but it's 100 proof. Tony said I was served that when I asked for a Knob Creek at a bar. Oh no, that's scary. They don't need to use their best barrels for the smoked maple blends. They still shouldn't be using Knob Creek. I don't know. I don't understand. But let me not stop judge it. Let me give it a taste before I judge it. Oh, is it 99? I'm sorry, Donnie. 99 is. I thought it was 100. You get the point I'm going for there. James says blackberry for the win, maybe with pumpkin spice. Oh God, I didn't even think about the fact that if we hit the super chat goal, I'm gonna have to blend these. Oh no, including the graham cracker. Oh crap. Have we hit the goal? I can't see on StreamYard. It doesn't tell me. Let's see. We may have hit the goal, guys. We may have to do this. I set a low goal this first competition because I'm like, one, let me test out these super chat goals. I've never used one before. Did we reach it? Let's see. Oh, we are at 9 of 10. Oh my gosh. We are 1 away. Tony says bus. Okay. I have a feeling we might hit this soon. Brown sugar bourbon. Oh, that's right. They do have one. That's a good call. I will not waver. All right. Well, let's go ahead. Oh, I didn't put ice in the Knob Creek. Hold on. Let's make it a fair comparison, especially since this is higher proof. Knob Creek smoked maple bourbon. Ooh, okay. Okay on the nose. I see you, Knob Creek. You're there. You may be buried. You may be buried underneath the flavoring, but there is some oakiness. There is some oakiness. Oh my gosh, I think we just hit our super chat goal. 10 out of 10. Wow. Thank you guys, and don't thank you for making me drink this blend. We're not even done yet, but we're gonna do it. Thanks to you guys. We're gonna drink these all together. Oh god, that's gonna be really bad. Mixed with the pumpkin spice Irish cream. All right, well, thank you guys for the super chat. I'm gonna put that off as long as possible for the next 20 minutes. Confetti flying in the chat. Oh, that's cute. I love that. Do that. I'm gonna do these more often. I'll do the challenges, even if it's just fun stuff like this. All right. Double glass chugs incoming. The thing is, I haven't had a double glass chug, but I'm gonna have to pour more of each of these. We'll do it. I might refill my ice glass and do it over ice. I smell the oak. I literally smell the wood on this Knob Creek maple. I'm very surprised by that. I am thinking I have high expectations for this already. Shall we do it? Let's do it. Back to the sticky, syrupy sweetness that I had on the first one, the old camp. It does taste like bourbon. Like this is the most bourbon tasting of them all. But it's got that sticky, syrupy thing that I don't really like about a lot of these. Nah, he's here, folks. He is here, Tony. Thank you so much for helping getting me there. Shout out to everyone that super chatted. Help me reach my first super chat goal. That's fun. Maybe I'll set multiple goals in the future. Like I'll do like the first goal, like something like not super crazy, and then like a bigger goal, like, oh, this is the most fucked up thing he can do. We'll see. All right, let's thank you again, Tony, and to everyone else. I don't know how I feel about this Knob Creek one. It tastes like bourbon. I got excited. It smells like bourbon. but it's sticky, and I don't like that sticky sweet thing that it has going on. It's not bad. It's in my top few of them, but it's not my favorite. I'll say that. Man, Knob Creek. I crapped on this for a long time because I'm like, why would you use the Knob Creek name, right? But now I'm like, okay, I get it. You can taste the oak. You can taste it. This is pretty nice bourbon, but I don't know if it deserves the Knob Creek name. I don't know. What do you guys think in the chat? Do you think it should be called Knob Creek Smoked Maple, or do you think it should be called like Jim Beam, like all their other flavored? Is there not a Jim Beam Maple? Am I going crazy? Maybe they did it. Maybe they held that back for this one. No, Jim Beam Maple. Then what on earth? What makes it different? Why would you release a Jim Beam Maple? the Cliffy bus is here. Why would you release a Jim Beam Maple and then a Knob Creek Smoked Maple? I don't get it. Oh, Jim Beam Maple has been discontinued. Thank you, Swan. I see it on Kroger right now, but it probably is out of stock. Yeah, but they do have other flavors. I know they have the fire, the apple, the peach. Yeah, I don't know. I still don't know how I feel about this one. I know where I'm going to put it in my ranking, but I don't know. I don't know how emotionally how I feel about this. I'll have to ask my therapist tomorrow. All right. Okay. The chug on that one wasn't bad because it kind of still tasted like whiskey. It tasted like if you were trying to make an old fashioned, but with like maple syrup instead of like simple syrup. And you just put like way too much of the maple syrup. It's kind of the vibe I'm getting. I'm also like overheating in this damn Charmander thing. So we'll try. Oh my God, my hair's a mess. You know, well, it's also been like, I've been sweating in it. All right. Oh, we might have to put the hat back on, guys. Oh, it feels so much better though. All right. I told you this costume might come off by the end of the night. We'll see. Sorry for it's like bedhead because it's been like roasting in this hood. All right. Let's keep it going. Let's go. We got one more flavored whiskey and then we have the blend. Ooh, not looking forward to that. All right. Where are we going, Pooh? We have this one. I think we have a new glass. We'll do a new glass for the Evan Williams Spiced Apple. So like I said, this one is made with bourbon. It's a seasonal blend of apple cider liqueur, Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, and caramel color. So it does have real bourbon in it. It does have caramel color, which most of these did. This one's a little bit opaque. I don't know if you can see the color there. It's a little bit like apple juice. It does have apple cider liqueur, which is probably contributing to that. Now this says ready to serve, and then it says warm and enjoy. I did not warm it. Should I just drink at room temperature? Would that be close to being warm? Should I put it over ice? What do you think? If any of y'all had this, let me know. Should I do it over ice or just room temperature? I haven't heated it up. Although that sounds really good. I love a good hot toddy. Both kinds. The Todd Cooper and the cocktail. All right, let me just pour this in a new glass. Tony, you may be right about that comment. We might find out on the after party. We'll see. If we get to $50 of super chats, I'll take everything. No, not gonna promise that for the YouTube gods. I do not want to be demonetized on my Halloween stream. Almost said scream. That would have been intentional, but not. Okay. So this is the neat. Like you see the color on that. It's definitely a little cloudy. This for me is drinks best warmed and not drank. Wait. This for me is a drink best warmed and not drank. I see what you're going. Let me just try it neat then, and I'll put an ice cube in it and give it a fair shot. Oh, okay. That nose is familiar. You know what it reminds me of? I will say one of the first, this is so embarrassing to admit, one of the first whiskeys I ever bought as an adult, like a legal adult, which is even more embarrassing, was the Crown Royal Regal Apple. That like the green apple kind of Crown Royal. I used to buy that all the time, and we would mix it with like cranberry juice, and then sometimes we would mix it with like apple cider. So that's what this is drawing me back into. It's a pretty good apple cider note. That is not. I guess I expected it to be worse. I don't know. That's nice. It does smell like it'd be nice and warm. But let me try it at room temperature first, and then let me add some ice to it. All right, let's try the Evan Williams Spiced Apple. Ooh. See, that's not like the others. I feel like that's not fair. Everything else is like a flavored whiskey, and this really doesn't say flavored whiskey. It says a blend of apple cider liqueur and Kentucky straight bourbon. So, like, technically it's not that different, but officially it doesn't say it's a flavored whiskey. I don't want to discontinue this in my ranking. I'm still going to rank it, but I feel like it's kind of got a little bit. It's a little unfair, I would say. This is good. I would love to drink this hot. I don't think it needs anything added. I think just heat it up. What's the proof on it? 34 proof. So the lowest proof of them all. That's okay. That's gonna like it drinks like a liqueur, which it kind of is. That's so low proof. I'm thinking maybe you use it to make like a, because sometimes when you're making a like a mulled wine, which is one of my favorite like winter fall cocktails, you do add bourbon or brandy. Some people, I think brandy's the traditional thing you add, but I've added bourbon to it. I wonder if you add a little bit of this. Might have to keep that around. Let me drink it with ice, then I'll have my full opinion. Here's what I'll say. This one drinks like a cheap... I don't want to say that because I don't know anything to compare it to. It's like the equivalent of like if you have like Fireball, like cinnamon whiskey, and then you have like an off-brand version that's trying to kind of be like it. They kind of are half the price and they cut a few corners. This tastes like that, but I don't know what to compare it to. It's definitely like, as much as I said on the nose, it was really appley. On the palate, it's so thin. It's so low proof. It does just taste like a flavored soda, like almost like a cream soda. Not as thick and syrupy as some of these other ones, though. I would want to maybe improve this. I don't know how I would. Maybe just add some more bourbon to it. Maybe half this, half bourbon. Up the proof a bit. Oh, Tony says mix it with Fireball. Okay. I can see that. Donner Pass Whiskey, happy Halloween. Yes, happy Halloween to you. I am definitely on a sugar high after all 5 of these, but I have a super chat challenge. So now I have to mix them all together. Let me do my ranking first. Okay. Ranking these. So just a reminder of what we've had. Old Camp Peach Pecan Whiskey, Bird Dog Gingerbread Flavored Whiskey, Crown Royal Blackberry Flavored Whiskey, Knob Creek Smoked Maple Flavored Whiskey, and Evan Williams Spiced Apple Whiskey Liqueur, something like that. So those are the 5. My ranking. Okay, yeah, I got my ranking. I don't need to change anything. It's very much gut instinct. My least favorite, if you watch the stream to this point, you know my least favorite, was this Bird Dog Gingerbread. Like I said, they make other flavors. They have a blackberry. Let's maybe give it a try. I just was not a fan. Even though it says made with bourbon, I don't like it. It's not my jam. Bird Dog, unfortunately, is last place. Old Pirate Bourbon, welcome. I think first time seeing you in the chat. Good to see you. Cheers, bourbon community and friends. Tonight we are drinking. I mean, it's still some of it's still bourbon, kind of, but it's Halloween. I get to play around a little bit. All right. Least favorite is the Bird Dog Gingerbread. 4th place, my next to last. I hate this because I don't think it's bad. Is the Evan Williams Spiced Apple. Like I said, this is the lowest proof. It's only 34 proof. Everything else is like 70 proof or above. It didn't stand up to it. I don't think it should have been in the lineup now that I look at the details on it. So I'll put it in 4th place. I don't think it's bad, but it shouldn't count as a flavored whiskey. So we're going to skip that one. 3rd place, though. It's actually surprised me. Because at first, I didn't really like this one. I was like, that's a little too artificial. But I got used to it. This is the Old Camp Peach Pecan Whiskey. This is the one that says it's bottled in Indiana, which kind of gives me a hint to where it's from. Don't know for sure. But the peach is there. I think the pecan is the only thing that's a little bit like, to me, it drinks more like a peach cobbler. Not bad. Not bad at all. I would definitely see myself drinking this. Someone said drink it with a lemonade. I like that idea. I'm going to have to give that a try. So that's my 3rd place. 2nd place. This one surprised me. I was a little biased towards this one. This is the Knob Creek Smoked Maple Bourbon. I think it actually tastes like bourbon. There are some of those oaky characters that are on none of these. None of these have that bourbon note to them. Or age in general. 90 proof. Very respectable that it's not that generic 70 proof. Price was a bit higher than a lot of these. About the same as the Crown Royal. Maybe a little bit more. But yeah. No, I could see this on the rocks. I wouldn't use it. I think I could see someone trying to say like, oh, make an old fashioned with it. But then if you try to add any other sweetness to this, it's going to be way too sweet. So that's my second place. My absolute first place, my favorite of all these that we tried, is the highly allocated Crown Royal Blackberry. Now, as people pointed out in the chat, this was a summer 2024 release, but I was not able to get my hands on it until fall. And growing up in the South, blackberries is more of a fall thing, like blackberry pie, blackberry cobbler. So for me, it's fall. Say what you want, but this with lemonade would be amazing. I could see it being a summer drink too. So that being said, I have drank all 5 options. And now that we've hit our super chat goal and I'm feeling really warm, this outfit might come off. Let me undo another button. We'll just leave it there. Okay. We got to do a blend. We got to blend all 5 of these together and add some pumpkin spice Irish cream. So, now that I think about it, I need to get some more ice. Let me be right back. Let me grab some fresh ice because this is all melted and watery. And then we'll blend these all together and add some pumpkin spice Irish cream. So while I'm gone, tell me your favorite scary movie. I'll be right back in less than 20 seconds. Time me. Let's go. I'll show you my talent. And I'm back. All right. Francis is not doing another. I said this is hot, so I'm literally sweating and dying in here. So, so sorry. Let me get caught up in the chat. Am I supposed to get that? Why did you computer people get Halloween and Christmas mixed up? October 31st is 10. I'm not a computer person. I don't get it, Donnie. Scary movie. Okay. Only one answer to my question. Come on. All right. We're gonna do the blend, and then we're gonna call it, and then we're gonna go over to the after party, so I can take this whole thing off. Sign up for Patreon. I'm just kidding. No, I will not take it all off. Don't worry. Maybe. All right. We're mixing them all together. Let's start with my least favorite. You're not gonna be able to see me pour it, but trust me, this is the glass. It's completely empty. Let's add a good helping of this gingerbread whiskey that I did not like at all. Oh, God, that's going to be gross. Now let me add in the Evan Williams spiced apple. Now I shake this because it says shake well in the bottle. I do want to try this warmed up, though. I can see this being nice. I think... Oh, is this bad? Should I say this? Sometimes when... Actually, it was last Halloween, but it's Halloween night now. Last Halloween, we made some mulled wine in like a carrying wine glass, and we took it and just walked around the neighborhood. Just people watching, enjoying the... I love seeing all the decorations and stuff, so that was fun. But we had our little canister of mulled wine. But I could see doing like a hot toddy to go with this. Hot toddy to go. Hot toddy. New dance. All right. Sorry. All right. Add the Evan Williams in. All right. I'm trying to do equal portions here. Old Camp. Add a little bit of that peachiness to it. Maybe some of that pie crust note. That'd go with the blackberry. We'll see. My glass is getting very full. I want to try this before I add the pumpkin spice because I don't want to ruin it and then not be able to go back. So this is we're going to be drinking this throughout the after party, guys. This is getting full real quick. I can't. Okay. Oh my God. This is the most whiskey I've ever poured in a glass. That's all I got to say. Ow, fuck that. Oh my God. I'm bleeding. That's fun. The Knob Creek just cut. Knob Creek, I swear to God, this is like their old bottle style where the wax gave me trouble and now the bottle has like cut me. So I bled on stream once before. It's been a while. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's on my ring finger. You probably can't see it. That isn't like the skin broke, so it's not bleeding yet, but it's gonna get there. Yeah, I've actually bled on stream once before. It was with a New Riff bottle trying to open. All right, I'll start the strategy. Let me do the Crown Royal Blackberry. Okay. Oh my God, there is so much whiskey in this glass, but thankfully it's all flavored, so like it's not that high of proof, right? Right? We'll see. I do a little mixy. Oh my God, it's gonna be so sweet. So when I said that this is the most whiskey I've ever poured in one glass? We're about to find out. I feel like I'm being a little too revealing. Let me put this back on. Let's save that for the after party. Anyways, this was an empty glass of ice. This is all whiskey now. All flavored whiskey. I didn't have room for the pumpkin spice. I'm scared to put that in. You guys did the super chats, so I'm gonna have to do it. But like, I feel like this might not be bad. Let's try it. Oh, that is like a carnival in my mouth, but not a good one. Like a local, like the carnivals that are set up in like your local Walmart parking lot. Oh, that's weird. It's so many phases of sweetness and candy and caramel corn, and that's not good. I mean, it tastes like fall, but it doesn't. It's not good. It did not. Adding them all together, it did not improve. Oh, that's so sweet. I actually think I might get sick if I try to mix this pumpkin spice Irish cream to it. You guys told me to do it. Should I still do it or should I just drink this? I mean, either way, this is going to get me messed up for the after party. I have work tomorrow, guys. I really do. Who knows if I will make it, but I'll leave it up to you guys. I can sip on this. I can also chug this, but I need to know if I need to put the pumpkin in it. I poured way too much of each one. Fred said I would not recommend actually finishing that terrible hangover. You need a lot of water and liquid IV tonight. That's what we paid for. I was waiting for one person to say it. Okay. I should have put way less whiskey in this, but we're going to do it. We're going to do it. All right. So, if you missed the beginning, we are adding Kavanaugh imported pumpkin spice Irish cream, blended and bottled only in Ireland. Delicate, smooth, and creamy. Oh my gosh. Kavanaugh pumpkin spice Irish cream is a limited edition. Oh my god, guys. Another limited edition. Blend of fresh dairy cream, smooth Irish whey spirit, and Irish whiskey. Wait a minute. It's not even just Irish whiskey. Look at that. Smooth Irish whey spirit. Is that the equivalent of like neutral grain spirit? God, this bottle's heavier than I thought. Okay, autumnal flavors. Okay. Enjoy chilled over ice with coffee or poured over your favorite dessert. It does not say poured over your blend of flavored whiskey. James says, anyone else feel like he wants us to tell him to put it? No, I actually was thinking you guys would be like, no, you don't have to do that, Clifton. It's fine. Sick day. Oh, maybe. But then it's like, oh, I ate too much candy. Hee hee. I'm just an innocent Charmander. I didn't add pumpkin spice Irish whiskey to my glass full. Oh no. Oh no. I don't like the way this looks. Oh god. Oh god. Oh no. Oh no. Let me stir it. Please don't curdle. Please don't curdle. Please don't curdle. Please don't curdle. Oh, I don't want to do it. Oh my god. Oh no. I think it's curdling. Like it's doing some separation at the bottom. Let's just go for it. Thank you for the super chats. I hate you guys. I hate you guys so much. Happy Halloween. I'm never doing this challenge again. Cheers. It's actually not that bad. The pumpkin covers up all that weird crap that was going on there. Ooh, but the texture is starting to get weird. I'm not gonna finish this, guys, but I drank it for you guys. Let's try a little another sip. It's not that bad, but wait, Fred says I really hope that's not distilled from wait, why? Is there something I should know? I don't want to. Let me save that. Let me save that for the after party. We'll find out why you're warning me that. I'm a man of my word. That I am. And you guys are all absolutely amazing for spending your Halloween with me or watching the replay. I only have myself to blame. That is very true. And Emily, great point. I am still alive. So that does it for tonight's stream. Thank you all so much for watching. Happy Halloween, whether you're watching this live, whether you're watching it next Halloween, or anytime in between. Have a great rest of your evening. Be safe. If you're going out tonight, Uber, have a rideshare home. Designated driver, however you want to do. But yeah, be safe. Enjoy yourselves. Drink responsibly. Don't do whatever this is, because it's definitely separating. It's not curdling, it's just separating, but I don't like the way it looks. All right. Cheers, y'all. I will see you at the after party. Those of you on Patreon. The rest of you, I will see you next Thursday night with something a little bit less crazy. Good whiskey. No more flavored stuff, at least for a while, until we do our winter flavored whiskeys. All right. Cheers. Well, we'll see if that happens. But until next time, this has been Bourbon Bytes Whiskey Reviews with an 80s twist. I'm your host, Clifton. Cheers, and have a great rest of your holiday weekend. I don't have anything funny to say. I was going to hope to quote something horrible there. Not horrible, but like horror there. Blah! Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bourbon Bytes. My name is Clifton. Welcome to another Thursday night live stream. Tonight, we have a very special guest joining us here shortly from a brand that I just recently learned about, but they are involved with some really fun projects. But first, I want to say hello to some few folks here. I know people are still gathering. We started on time this time, which is surprising. Usually, I'm a little bit late, so there's not as many people here yet. So we'll give them a moment. We're also streaming over on Twitch. I'm trying that out again. I used to do that a while back ago. So if you're watching on Twitch, say hello. I can still see your comments. But for those of you here on YouTube, please be sure to say hello. I see, first of all, we have a super chat from the incredible Tammy Brennicky coming in saying, sending love from Mama Brennicky. Thank you so much, Tammy. Tammy and Brian have been supporters of the channel for many a years. So it's so good to see you here. If you're able to make it. But see everyone's saying, wow, on time. Oh, what's up Zopher and Donnie? Thanks so much for tuning in. Don Nishida all the way over from Hawaii. So good to see you in the chat. So this was a fun one. Like I said, I've not had any of their products before tonight, so I'm really, really excited to taste through them and talk to their, not just representative from the brand. I guess I'll just introduce them. Might as well just jump into it. So please welcome to the stream the Director of Education and Blender from the brand. Please welcome Brandon Cummins. What's up, Brandon?
What's up, Clifton? How are you, man?
So good to have you. So first of all, welcome. I know you talked a little bit. You had this whole plan, like we're going to show all your nerdy stuff behind you, but you had a power issue. But I appreciate the effort, though. I appreciate it.
It's all good.
Well, awesome. Welcome to the show. Like I said, I'm not super familiar with this. Is it a relatively new brand, the High and Wicked name?
Yeah, so High and Wicked as a brand, our first release came out in 2020, like the best time to release a new brand to the market.
Oh, man.
So, I mean, relatively new in that respect, but, it has been like a long baked project leading up till then or up till now. So relatively new still, though. Gotcha.
Well, very cool. Well, tonight we're going to actually be trying two different expressions. One is the straight rye whiskey. This is the 49.1% ABV release. And then we have the special edition. This is the High and Wicked single grain Irish whiskey, which I'm really excited to talk about. This is a fun one. So I know you guys have some other products that you'll probably be tasting through as well. So, well, first of all, I guess tell us a little about yourself. Sure. We talked about the brand's new, but how long have you been with the company? What have you been, what's your story?
So I grew up in the restaurant industry. My family owned bars and restaurants all around Kansas and Missouri. My dad had a spot that was open for 47 years called Poor Richard's in Topeka, Kansas. And so I literally grew up like sleeping in booths and, I was around the bar all the time. And then into college, bartended my way through college. But you got to imagine like growing up in the restaurant industry, especially. And my aunt was like the head chef and she was also the head baker. Like I'm constantly like nosing and smelling and tasting everything humanly possible, except for the booze. Cause I definitely wasn't of age for that. But,
Sure.
no, I mean, so like just fell in love with like olfactory. And of course, my whole life, I was like, I'm never going to be in the industry. I'm never going to get into the bar and restaurant industry. Bartended my way through college, ran a wine bar there, and then got deep into it after that. So I helped open a craft cocktail bar here in Kansas City called Manifesto, and then started a cocktail festival called the Paris at the Plains. Got involved with a nonprofit focused on agave production and sustainability efforts, and so got really deep into tequila and mezcal. And at the end of the day, like, I basically have somehow showed up as the director of education now because, as we like to say, I'm the nerdiest guy in the company that just asks questions nobody else has asked before about production process. So, they kind of just said, do you want to just write the materials? And here you go. And then when High and Wicked was kind of first being conceived, it's kind of like, okay, well, you already nose and taste all the things for the rest of the portfolio. So clearly you're going to do that for the whiskeys too, right? And it's like, yeah, okay. So that's a little bit of my background. I've been with Altamar now for 10 years. So I finally hit my decade mark there, which was pretty rad.
Awesome.
But yeah, I mean, I'm a lifelong industry guy, whether I, accept that or not. So
I was like, that was a lot. Like I was like trying to like keep track of everything. Wow, you've really been around it. So you said like agave spirits were kind of like your intro, like other than cocktails, like that's kind of like your intro into the spirits industry.
To a degree. I mean, like, so the wine bar was really the very first, and it was like obsessive learning about, and I always joke that was during college, right? And I studied harder for the tests at the wine bar than I did for anything for my degree. But, so it's like just this idea of like, no, it's not just about like a wine pairing and knowing that knowledge, but it's about like, you're going to pair that with a food and like together you're going to elevate that whole experience. And that's where like light bulb kind of clicked. And then spirit wise, yeah, like agave was for sure like my first love. Although like admittedly, like I started in American whiskey, like I think most people, did. And it's like, I'm now one of those guys who was like, we used to have Weller 12 as, our like Weller white label was our pour that was only like $6 or $8 a pour back in the day, So anyways, it's been, it's been a journey. That's for sure. So,
well, that's awesome. Let's go to hear. Like that's, my channel is mostly whiskey and bourbon focused, but a lot of times I will explore different spirits. I love doing rums. We'll talk a little bit about Foursquare rum here in a bit, but it's one of my absolute favorites distilleries in the world of rum. But yeah, so I love exploring different things, and these guys in the chat also do as well. I want to say a couple of more hellos that people are joining. The usual crowd that's used to me being late is now showing up. So first of all, let's see someone new in the chat. Hunt Patterson. Good to see you in the chat. Glad to have you here. Devin Patel is back, and Donnie, one of our amazing mods, is telling people to hit the thumbs up button if you guys are enjoying the stream, and of course subscribe if you are enjoying the show. Our friend Bill over on Twitch, Dungeons and Drams, which was a D&D campaign I was part of.
Yes.
Recently finished up the campaign, but always a great time. Good to see Bill over on Twitch. Emily is here, another amazing mod of the channel. James Taylor, a patron and supporter of the channel. And yeah, so great to see those folks here live. And of course, I know a lot of you folks are watching the replay. So if you're watching the replay, make sure to leave a thumbs up and a comment down below what your favorite expression was from tonight's lineup. Well, before I guess, let's go and get something in our glass, shall we? So where do you recommend we start? Do you think we start with the rye or the Irish whiskey?
Let's start with the rye. We'll definitely start with the rye. And I got to give you a little bit of history on the brand because we'll get it.
I was going to ask, as I was pouring, I was going to ask you that. So go ahead.
So, I mean, honestly, it all goes back to our founder. So our founder and CEO, and I got to give his full name because his name is epic. It's William Lee Lyons Brown III. Right. So it's one of those names, right?
I like that. Yeah.
Lyons is a Brown, formerly a Brown foreman. So, and his familial legacy, like his father created Woodford Reserve. His grandfather is who purchased Jack Daniels from the Motlow family. And then his great great grandfather is George Garvin Brown, of course, whose signature is on every bottle of Old Forester in the world. Right.
Wow.
So we always joke that it wasn't like if we were going to get back into whiskey, it was just really when. But, we stayed out of it for a long time, largely in respect to that family legacy. And at the same time, like if we got back into it, everyone's going to be pretty scrutinous about what we were doing. So we were kind of kicking the idea around of launching this brand that was centered around celebrating provenance and transparency and like, like sourcing product initially, but like, what could we then do to elevate where the source it's coming from, right? So let's be super transparent about this was distilled by these folks. This was the mash bill, barrel entry, barrel exit type of still used, all that stuff, right? As much geekery as we could fit on there possible. And then it evolved into a gentleman called and was just like, hey, I've got access to several rick houses. I've been collecting bourbon. We're like, cool, you're a bourbon collector. I get it. He's like, no, I've been collecting barrels. It's like, okay, well, what are we talking about? And he's like, I have over 100,000 barrels. And we were like, you got to be kidding me. He's like, we've been sourcing from every distillery imaginable, every mash bill imaginable, every, maturation protocol you could think of. And so Lion said, Brandon, did you realize that you could go to heaven without dying? Here's your opportunity. And he was like, can I just start sending you samples? And so this is kind of the evolution of it. And what we ended up determining from this is, we kept coming back to some Kentucky liquid, and we were like, man, this is really incredible. There's these ryes that keep bubbling up to the top. So why don't we send out some blinds? So I sent out 7 blind tasting samples of rye whiskey to a bunch of colleagues, bartenders, distillers, blenders, sommeliers in the industry. And I was just like, hey, of these 7 rye whiskeys, I want you guys to rank them. And we consistently started getting 2 that kept bubbling up to the top. And then similarly, we sent 9 bourbons out. Also to the same group, and we had 1 that kept coming in at the very top. And so we ended up getting in touch with the distilleries that were making the product directly, and we said, hey, for 1, you guys have consistently come in all these blinds. For 2, would you be willing to work with us with new make and developing our own kind of processes and protocols? So we already know you guys are rock star distillers, but we want to partner with you to kind of develop our take on what this could be. And so, this is one of the only open partnerships that I believe they have, but New Riff is our distillery on our rye. But it's not your standard New Riff mash bill, right? Your standard New Riff mash bill is 95% rye and then 5% malted rye. But we're at 91.9. So we're at 91 rye and 9% malted barley. And the barley was like substantially different than the malted rye was. Yeah, and then we went into everything like, okay, so if we're talking barrel like maturation protocols, where are we getting the barrels from? And what's the forestry on the oak? What is the seasoning level? What's the toast? What's the char? And then ultimately, what I always joke is like one of the most expensive aspects of the whole thing is like also what's our maturation protocol? Where are we sitting in the actual cellar, in the rick house itself? And so we basically set like we want to be on the top 2 floors as best as we can, which... So it really like gets really good extraction pretty early. So yeah, that's probably way more.
No, that's great. Well, I was going to say,
but
that was one of the first things I noticed on the bottle, honestly. So this is the bottle of the rye. And I was like, straight rye. Oh, but then I was like, oh, Kentucky straight rye whiskey. So I got a little curious. I'm like, okay, let me flip around and see what info is on there. But you guys actually put on the bottle, you say, distilled at New Riff Distilling, which is awesome. I think, like you said, you're one of the only brands that can actually put that on the bottle that's not transparent about it, right?
Yeah. Well, and I mean, like, and honestly, I wish we could say the same for our bourbon, but the distillery on our bourbon was very much like, we love you guys, but we're going through some stuff right now, and we can't let you put our name on the label. They're like, so, Lions came back to me, and he's like, okay, are you prepared to go out here? Is the bourbon good enough that you're like, you can go out here and talk about it without telling the story of like who the guys are that are making? And I was like, yeah, because it's that good. So
yeah, I mean, it's not always. I mean, these people in the chat will know, like, as much transparency as possible is always appreciated, especially of those of us that really consider ourselves enthusiasts, because we want to know, like, we're not being judgmental. It's like, no, we want to know the most about what we're trying.
Yes.
I noticed that you guys have some, even like, you guys have a ton of info here on this label. I mean, I can't really fully hold on. Let me see if I can make my screen bigger, and then you can walk us through some of the info we see here. Let me see if I can do this. If this cuts you out, I'll come back, I promise.
All good.
There we go. A little bit bigger. So yeah, so here's the label. So you guys put some really great info. If it'll focus, it might be kind of hard because it's kind of small text.
Yeah, that outer ring. I mean, so like this was the original inception of the brand, right? We were like, we want to put as much on this label as humanly possible. So it's just like, okay, like seasoned new medium toast, like white oak number 4 char for a minimum of 5 years, right? So real age statement, then like also breaking all that down, 91% rye, 9% malt, the type of still that's being used, and depending upon the release, like when we get to the Foursquare later, like that's one where it's we wanted to cram even more information on there because it's like this is a limited one-off, whereas that the Kentucky Straight Rye, like that's intended to be a flagship all day, every day. Now I will say, like, again, real age statement, right? So aged 5 years, but we are, that was being blended down 30 barrels out of a batch of 200, and so we do have significant holdback, and we've been laying down like 500 to 1,000 new make barrels annually, thereabouts. So I mean, this is definitely a long-term thing, but we're now finally, this year will be the first year that I can actually start integrating some 6-year, and then ultimately a little bit of 7-year, some 8-year, and then I also have some secret projects that I'm blending down, which is also why it's like I'm gonna hold some of these barrels because, like, frankly, there's some really rad stuff happening here. So
wow. Well, so you say you start with the new make. So like with, for example, the rye, it's like you're getting that new make, that custom mash bill from New Riff. Where are you aging? Are you aging it in Kentucky as well, or are you aging it somewhere else?
Yeah, so it's all aging in Kentucky. There's a portion of it that was kind of already aging that was pretty similar to protocols that we wanted. Like, we evolved some of the maturation protocol a bit, but so it's all aging in Kentucky, but essentially a good chunk of it is aging at New Riff. And Jay Erisman, who's one of the founders of New Riff, is a good old friend and actually from the Altamar side of things. So we used to be the importer for Tequila Ocho, and Jay actually ended up buying like the very first single barrel of Tequila Ocho in the United States from Party Source, which was the liquor store that he used to own, which is in the parking lot of New Riff. But so just like it was wild that like we ended up like discovering these guys as being like these amazing rock star distillers, and it's like, wait a second, we've known Jay for years. And it's like, and he's just like, yeah, of course, like, yeah, let's do this. I love you guys, I love what you're doing. So yeah, it was a very kismet thing, so.
Oh, that's awesome. And by the way, if you guys are in the chat, feel free to leave any comments or questions. I'm trying to keep up. So we see Zover says info on bottles is always appreciated. Yes, that's kind of what I was saying. Like, we love seeing that. Live from the patios here. Good to see you. Devin Patel says, dang, that's real. Love the info. Yes, we definitely do. Donner Pass Whiskey here as well. Tammy says, Clifton has a palate from the gods. I assume that means share with friends. Why not? And Zover says, Tequila Ocho. You got a fan of Tequila Ocho here in the chat as well. Zover has given me a lot of agave spirit recommendations. He's awesome. Based in San Diego. So
love it.
Gets all the good stuff. That usually California's really lucky with agave spirits. I'm not really sure, if you guys are where you guys are distributing out, not just, not just High and Wicked, maybe even some of the other brands. Are you guys in California?
We absolutely are. Yeah. So we're in 41 states.
Okay, wow.
So we've got pretty wide distribution. We were the original importer for Tequila Ocho. Unfortunately, it's like seeing like your ex-girlfriend, but like she's also out there with like a guy that you're like, he's really good though. Like, I want to be mad, but I can't be mad. So I mean, that's like Ocho in that situation. But yeah, no, we've got actually really good presence out in California. We just changed over to Winebow as our new distributor out there, but they're crushing it for us and they're awesome. So yeah, big fan.
So cool. And then Tanner Austin in the chat says, anything from Brandon, I will be a fan. So
thanks, man.
So we got some fans here in the chat as well.
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome. So tell us, I'm going to go ahead and start nosing and tasting this rye, but tell us, what was the decision to go with that mash bill? Like you said, the 91% rye and then the 9%. You said is it the barley or the malted?
We're going with barley. So since New Riff was using the rye, I mean, it came down to like, what are we getting different with the barley, right? We had way more chew. We had way more like biscuity note. It wasn't nearly as sharp and spicy of a rye. And ultimately that was kind of like the goal. So the name High and Wicked comes from an old cowboy poem written back in the early 1900s. And the dude's name is Bruce Kiskadon. So if you want to go dig up some weird cowboy poetry from the 1900s, because that's totally a thing. But like in it, he basically writes like the best rodeo broncos, buck plum, High and Wicked. So like, if you want to win the rodeo, you've got to deal with the fight in the bronco. And so that's very much like, for me, like the ethos of what we were trying to do here. And this is going to be my first F-bomb for the night.
Hey, he asked, this is one of the first questions you asked me, like, can I swear? I'm like, yes. YouTube has a rule, like the first 30 seconds you're not supposed to. But I'm going to hold off.
So we internally, we refer to it as what the fuckiness. And the goal is like, we don't necessarily want it to be, even though it's like a 91% rye whiskey, we don't want it to be a massive spice bomb. Like I'm actually trying to blend this for softness and for more fruit forwardness. Still, obviously you have all the rice spice there, but the goal is actually to be a little what the fucky. And then again, with the bourbon, it's actually the inverse, where the bourbon is a spice bomb. So it's 39% rye in the mash bill. Only
Oh, wow.
51% corn, 39 rye, 10%
That is
malted
really high
barley.
rye in bourbon. Wow.
Yeah, and then it's a sweet mash. It's not a sour mash because that was the only way that we could really tame that like aggressive spice. But ironically, normally if I was tasting you almost any other brand, I would taste you bourbon and then rye.
Sure.
But with High and Wicked, I flip it. It's like you've got to go rye before bourbon because the bourbon is so much more spicy than the rye, but done so on purpose, right? So I'm curious to get your thoughts too. Like I'm just chatty Cathy right now. So.
Well, I was going to say, so it actually, it's been a minute since I've had New Riff's rye. I know they have some of the older expressions. I know they have the malted rye. I think I had a 6-year recently of that. But I really haven't tried their standard, 95.5 mash bill in a while. And I know they've been putting out some really good, well-aged stuff. But I will say this does remind me of how, like I said, it's been a long time, how fruit forward their whiskeys are just across the line. It's like, it's something about the new make that they're using. It's like, it has, I think their bourbon gives me like a green apple note. I don't get necessarily green apple on this. This though, it is like, I'm getting almost like a berry fruitiness. I'm curious what kind of tasting notes you look for with this one.
I mean, so in general, like the way that I blend, because again, I'm sitting down and I'm blending from 200 barrels roughly at a time. I'm taking those and I'm basically sequestering chunks into different blocks. And this is actually a technique that I talked through. Goodness, I can't remember the guy's name, but he's the blender for Pinhook. And he was kind of saying, he's like, logically, I separate into blocks. And I was talking with another good friend who's another blender, and they're like, yeah, you just need these are your spicy guys, these are your chocolate guys, these are your fruity guys, right? And so that's very much the approach. Like, where are my fruits? Where are my spices? Where are my chocolates? Where are my like vanillin barrel? And then I always rank them on intensity. So it's kind of getting into like some of those factors and then trying to construct the blend from that. Like, I know I want more fruit, and generally I'm looking for, like, again, like you were saying, I'm looking for tree fruits, right? So I'm looking for like apples and pears for days, for sure. But then if I do get any berry notes, like I'm immediately noting like, oh, that was a cranberry, that was a cherry, that was a little blackberry situation, like, and those will get flagged. So like, am I going to use those as an increment in the blend, or am I going to set those aside as a single barrel because they're also so what the fucky, right? Like,
yeah, well, going in for a second sip, it's not. I know I find more of those apple notes that I kind of come to expect from the brand, but there's like a bit of a dessert quality. But it's like, I don't know if like a pie crust or something, but it has a like a character that I don't find in rye very often. Usually I find that in bourbon, and it could be from the age as well. But I mean, yeah, I think this is kind of like, as a bourbon and rye lover, this one almost like confuses me. I'm like, if I tried it blind, would I know bourbon, rye? I actually don't know, because it has some of those big, like, because I usually get those baked notes in a bourbon. So it's really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, for sure.
Question coming in from Hunt. Yes, for sure. So Hunt asks, exit proof compared to entry proof, and why? See, I told you, I mean, I don't know if that's one of your friends, but like my group is nerdy too, so we love this info.
Yeah, Hunt is a good friend, and he knows some of the peeks behind the curtain on some of these things. But I mean, so like, entry proof on these, we're actually going in at about 115.
Okay.
Actually, sorry. These first batches, we went in closer to 125. We went in hotter. Now we've adjusted down a little bit to go into 115 for some of the future batches because we want different extractions, right? And also just like, I want more colors to paint with because, by the way, one of the other like wild things about New Riff that like we got to determine or discuss with them was, do you want us to homogenize the spirit, right? Like, do you want us to tank it and blend it together, or do you want to go straight from fermenter into barrel? Right. So fermenter to still right into barrel. So we kept it isolated. So every 12 barrels, there's a change in fermentation tank. So like every 12 barrels, it's like a totally new whiskey. It's like the color, again, like the colors that I get to paint with from a blending perspective are just wildly different compared to, and again, I can't say who's making our bourbon, but like our bourbon is dead consistent, like across almost all the barrels. Like it's just wild comparing the two. But yeah, no. So entry proof, sitting at about 125 on the first batches. We're going at 115 as we were evolving the recipes a bit. And then the final bottling proof, I've got two stories here. Number one, we always bottle to taste. So I get blind panels set up all over the United States. And again, I will send out about 7 or 8 different proof points, and we'll determine, okay, is there a sweet spot for this particular recipe? Right. And so in this instance, like we were really dialing into this like 48, 49, 50, like right around 100 proof. And I came back and I was testing some of the samples, and it's like, oh man, like 50%, like that's going to be the winner. So I go and I retest it, like I hydrometer test it again. Turns out my 50% sample that I'd sent out was actually at 49.1. And so I was like, well, wait a second.
Oh,
Like,
did it change when you, or just it just was off the measurement?
no. So I was like, okay, so I messed it up. Maybe I flip flopped my 49 with my 50. So I go
Oh,
and
I see.
I test my 49. Oh no, it's dead on at 49. So like the 49.1
Oh, wow.
ranked above the 49, and I was like, well, what about the 50? Like, where'd that go? So I sent out another set that was just 49, 49.1, and 50, just to again like gut check it. And sure enough, 49.1 came back as the favorite, and I was
Wow.
like, I guess this
That
is what we're doing now.
Small difference improved. Like that's so crazy. Like you did it blind again, and that still came out on top.
Well, and you know, I mean,
that's the craziness of it.
you got to wonder if it's like, because again, that's the middle sample, and there's always like there's a little bit of this like, do people always gravitate towards the middle, whatever it is? You know, and so it's like there's a little bit of the tradecraft of it, but like it's still one of those like, man, that's so weird. Like we did this with a tequila. We did this with a tequila about 7 years ago, and we did a blind with bartenders from both Mexico and the United States where we actually like made cocktails, but it was unanimous. Like you never have a unanimous result in a blind, but every participant in all 5 cocktails we tested picked the exact same proof point, which was one of those. It's like, holy crap! I guess we're definitely bottling it at 89 proof, because that's the result. So here we go. You know.
Oh, well, that's a fun story. That like, I think that's what makes it unique too. It's like, I mean, you know, I love a good 100 proof whiskey, but when I see something like that, I feel like it's either intentional. I normally assume it's intentional, but now I'm like, maybe some.
Yeah, or it's a mistake, and that just happened to be the one that worked out the best. It's a happy accident,
Definitely.
Right?
A few other folks showing up here. Whiskey Knows, what's up, Marty? Good to see you. Another great whiskey tube channel here. Our friend Swan, who is a Patreon supporter, and Four Leaf Whiskey, another one of my favorite whiskey tube channels. She does a bunch of Irish whiskey on her channel. She is a huge fan of High and Wicked Irish whiskey. So, awesome. Stacy, so good to see you here in the chat. Zover says blind tasting is always revealing. Yes, that's why I do a lot of blinds here on my channel. You know, I think I have certain opinions on things, and I do it blind, and completely blows my mind of like what I actually find out that I prefer. So
I was going to ask you. There was the you did the blind tasting with the rums, right? That had like, it was the real McCoy was in there, and then you had like Foursquare Detente. So I was actually watching through that earlier this afternoon, but I didn't make it up to the reveal. Like obviously I knew from the show notes that I was like, oh, okay, like I know what these are. So I'm just curious, like what was your reaction when he actually revealed the rums?
Gosh, I feel like that. Okay, first of all, that was a long time ago. That was like at least a year and a half ago, I think. And I do a live stream every week, so I don't remember. But I do know that I don't remember what all was in that flight. I know were they all Barbados rum?
No, there were 3 Barbados rums, and then there was like Panama Pacific, and then there was one more that was from Mauritius.
Oh, well, that's a really old video, man. That's like 3 or 4 years, man. So I have no idea what my opinion was there. But I will say, I did another stream that was a little more recently. It's still been a while, where I did a bunch of all Barbados rum. So I had Real McCoy, I had Foursquare, and then I had Dorley's, which is the Total Wine brand. And it's kind of like, it surprised me how, I mean, it didn't surprise me how similar they were, but at the same time, it surprised me how like they seem like they're for different markets, but they all have the same core, just I really love Barbados rum. And by the way, if you guys didn't know, Foursquare, you guys is part of Alamar Spirits as well, right?
Yeah. So we are the importer for the exceptional cast selections, for Probitas rum, for RL Seal's 12-year, and that's kind of it. Like we don't play with the Real McCoy, or I mean, like we play nicely with them, but like you know, we don't import Real McCoy, we don't import Dorley's as much as we'd like to. Some like they just, you know, I mean, frankly, like that's before our time, so like we don't want to mess with those things. But
sure. Gotcha. Okay. Well, I guess this is a natural transition to the next one. I mean, well, first of all, before we switch over, the rye. What is the price point on the rye?
So I will say, like, it's not inexpensive. The SRP is about $79.99.
Okay.
You know, and like I always get to explain to people, they're just like, well, why is this so much more expensive than regular New Riff? It's like, well, because it's you're going and asking somebody to make a whole different recipe and change everything over, and then, you know, and then we're also insisting upon like, and these are our maturation protocols. You know, so it's like even the real estate for the barrels is more expensive, but we just got a really nice wrap up in Paste. So Paste Magazine just did a review, and they were like, fortunately, we feel like it actually punches at that weight class for $80 a bottle. So I was like, okay, rad. Like that was a really nice validation. And the hope is like over time, once we've recouped the startup expense of it, because admittedly, like there's a lot that goes into the startup of a brand, you know, so hopefully over time, like we can stabilize that a little bit, but.
Yeah, or either that, or like you said, start getting some of the older whiskey into it, maybe up age statement, things like that. But
exactly.
I think that's something that a lot of new brands face. It's like you have to kind of recoup those costs, and as long as you're putting out a quality product, I think people will support it. It's when you aren't transparent,
right?
To it's not a quality product, then people start being like, okay, but is it worth it? But no, this is really good. Like I said, I haven't had a rye like this in a while.
Cool.
I think it's fantastic. 5 years now. The bourbon, is that also 5 years, or is that
so the bourbon is also 5 years, and that's also aged entirely in Kentucky. We are introducing a little bit of the lower floors in the rick houses on that one, because again, like, you get way more spice out of your lower floors, and since the whole intent there is way spicy bourbon, it's definitely a different approach. But I mean, like, fortunately, the bourbon's done really well. We got some nice recognition from both like Wine Enthusiast and Whiskey Advocate, and like at the end of 23, like they were both like one of the best new high rye bourbons, which was just dope.
That's awesome.
So it's exciting that it's like, okay, all right, maybe like the whole trust the process, man. Trust the process.
Yeah,
blinds,
that's
gotta
feel great. Just like you said, being such a new brand and just seeing like the rave reviews. That's gotta be such an empowering feeling.
Yeah.
Price point for the bourbon about the same.
Exactly the same. Yeah, they're line priced.
Okay.
Now the irony is that, the value here, and what I've actually had multiple people tell me, is the cast strength versions, which we are seasonal one-offs. So like we just launched the cast strength rye, like it's just coming out right now. It's only $10 more. So it's at 124 proof.
Wow, okay.
But it's, it's only $10 more a bottle. And then same thing with the bourbon. It's also sitting at about 122, 124.
Okay.
And for, essentially 89. So.
And it's like the same, I guess, technically the same like blend, I guess, as the regular release?
Generally, yes. I mean, you will see more variation in the cast strength because, number one, it's more expressive. And number two, because it's a seasonal, you are going to have, because if I disgorge in the spring versus disgorging in the summer, like they are very different whiskeys. So like you can even that out when you're, working with a flagship, but like on those cast strength, because it's seasonal, like you're really getting the expression of whatever it is that was, disgorged at the time. So.
Gotcha. Well, very cool. Well, we have some Irish whiskey fans in the house. So this one surprised me. I looked at the label. I'm like, oh, this is probably a rye as well. And then I read it. I'm like, oh, okay, this is something completely different. Tell us a little bit about this next expression.
So I gotta give you like the spiel that I give all the bartenders when I'm out talking about this stuff, because it's like we talk American whiskey, we talk like Mr. Brown and like the family legacy and Old Forester and Jack and all that, right? And then it's like, so we're named after an old cowboy poem. We are from like American whiskey legends, right? So why the hell are we an Irish whiskey? And effectively, it all comes down to one person, and that person's name is Noel Sweeney. And Noel is the former master distiller and blender from Cooley, which then became Teelings. And Noel's also responsible for the creation of Kilbeggan and Connemara. I mean, like the guy is whiskey legend as well, right? So Noel was going to launch a new brand, and he had reached out to us as Altamar to work as the importer for it. And unfortunately, during COVID and everything else, the brand kind of didn't come to fruition. But he reached out and he was like, hey, I've still got some stocks that I started laying down that were intended to be kind of limited releases. Would you guys be interested? And we were like, holy shit. Okay. Like, we just launched High and Wicked, and at the time we were still waiting on the rye and the bourbon to come of age, so it wasn't even out yet. So all we had was one of these singular limited releases, and we were like, do we quickly evolve this and get into Irish whiskey right away? And so the second release was actually called the Wild Rover, but it was featured in Imbibe and Maxim and like hit all of these awards, like was named best cast strength Irish whiskey 2 years in a row. Wow. And then the next one from Noel was called Aeneas Coffee. It got one of the 50 best spirits of 2022. And we were like, holy crap. Like, I think we actually did something here. Mm-hmm. And so Noel reached out and he was like, well, I've got some more of this single grain, right? For those, I'm assuming you've got folks on the channel that are like very well aware of what single grain is.
Well, but there's new folks as well, though. So please just give us a quick rundown of what that means.
Right. So like in Irish whiskey, you've essentially got 4 subcategories. You've got your blended Irish, which is your Jamesons, your Bushmills, all the things that like everybody's super familiar with. Single malt, single pot, and then single grain. Your single malt is, of course, 100% malted barley. Single distillery, pot still. Your single pot is at least 70% malted barley, 30% unmalted barley. Single distillery, pot still. And then grain is grain whiskey from a single distillery. And so in many cases, like that is the least known subcategory. But Noel was making the argument that he was like single grain Irish can be incredible. And he's like, I Noel firmly believe that this is like the unsung hero of Irish whiskey, and that there's so much single grain out there that needs to be embraced. So he was basically pushing this really hard, and we were like, okay, like you're who you are, we'll listen. So he got us, it's basically 95.5, so 95% corn and 5% malted barley, but the corn is actually coming from Provence in France, and it's an heirloom varietal of corn because the distillery, which I can't legally name, and it drives me nuts, because the distillery is so good that they can demand that level of provenance in their grain source. So he reached out and he's like, I've got some more of the single grain. It's getting to be of like a great age where we want to finish it. He's like, and I want to finish it in a rum cask. And we were like, hold on. Instead of just like going and getting any rum cask, can we please introduce you to Richard Seal from Foursquare? Because we import the exceptional casks, and this would be really cool. Like, little did we know that Richard was also working on other, like, had sent barrels for some other finishing projects. Anyways, so they talked, and Richard ended up sending casks from the Mark 10, which was the 2007 ECS release, and they finished it for 6 months and 100 proof, and like everything high and wicked is minimally filtered, right? So we only run through like a 10 micron sock filter to just pull out barrel sediment. Everything else is like, we don't want to mess with it. So. But yeah, so this is the final result of that, and it's only just hitting. But frankly, like this is I've done 3 tastings this week, like in stores, and every single one we've done has sold out of this particular release. So it's one where we're like, okay, maybe like Noel did it again. Here we are. So
what a cool story. I was looking at my channel, so I did have a bottle of the Foursquare 2007. I reviewed it back in August of 2020.
Rad.
Loved it. Incredible. So after this, I'm actually going to, once we taste this, I actually grabbed the Foursquare 2010, which I think you said you had as well. So I'd love to do a little, maybe not like a side-by-side, because obviously they're very different, but I'd love to see, what kind of notes from the Foursquare might be coming through on this Irish whiskey.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think something that's fun, it's like, I think it's a fun fact, is like, or a good trivia question is, a lot of people see single grain and they think, oh, that means it's a single grain, right? But like you said, it's a 95.5 mash bill. So even though it sounds like single grain, it's just corn, it's just barley, it's just wheat. No, that just means like, you said the description of single grain is from the same distillery?
Yeah. So the way that I always try to explain it is remove single from it, right? It's a grain whiskey from a single distillery. It's a malt whiskey from a single distillery. It's a pot still whiskey from a single distillery, right? Exactly. So that's where like the nomenclature just kind of fucks with you a little bit, because it's like, hey man, like it says single grain, but like you just told me there's 2 grains in here. Yeah, it happens all the time. Like that's.
Gotcha. I'm looking at the label now because, like you said, you have all the great info here. So it says this was finished for 6 months in the casks that were used to age the Foursquare 2007. Is this aged at all with the
It
Irish
is
whiskey?
not. It is not. So we had an interesting discussion with Noel, because we were like, hey, our whole shtick is like transparency. We want to put all this on there. And it's like, but what is the standard in Ireland? By the way, Noel is also the I don't know if he is still, but he was the technical chairperson for all of Irish whiskey. So he oversaw the entire denomination of origin as like the technical chair. And then he's also been inducted to the UK's Whiskey Hall of Fame. So like a few other notes, but he mentioned that, traditionally in Irish whiskey, if it's less than 10 years, they will not put an age statement on the bottle. And so we were like, okay, so why don't we say double cask matured? Like, so that we at least are still conveying that. Okay. It's not new make. It's definitely, like, I will say it's got some decent age on it, but since Noel was very much like, we don't really, he's like, and that just becomes a number that people are going to use to compare this to other Irish whiskeys. They're going to see the color, and then they're going to be like, that doesn't make sense. He's like, so, he's like, we'll just call it double cask matured. So.
Gotcha. By the way, this is 100 proof. And for those, like you said, we can't talk about the distillery, but the label does say distilled in County Cork in a continuous coffee column still. Now, I'm not an Irish whiskey pro, but I know some of you are out there. So maybe you little sleuths can find out your own info. But for now, let's go ahead and taste this one. So such an interesting, like I said, I've been drinking on this one for a while. It's just intrigued me. It's so different than anything else in my collection. I mean, I've had Irish whiskey that's been, you know what? Actually, I guess I have had Irish whiskey that's been aged in rum casks, but it's usually Jamaican rum, which is like to me it's a little too funky. It's not my favorite style of rum.
Sure.
But Barbados is my favorite rum. So like this just was like a match made in heaven. It's just really, really good.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about like what notes you get from it? Because like, I always like to ask. I don't like to give my notes before. I love hearing what you get from it.
So I'm also, you got to understand, I tasted this before it was finished and now after it's finished. So which is also one of the like, oh wow, that's like, it's crazy how much this changed. So I had someone ask me at one of the tastings, they're like, I get all this like nice residual sweetness, like this like almost like marshmallow, like marzipan, like almond kind of thing. They're like, so is that from the rum? And I was like, no, that's actually from the whiskey. The whiskey was really creamy and really lactic. It had a really good like vanilla character to it, really kind of soft on the palate, while still like you've got a little bit of like ethanol that punches through, because to me that is also indicative of a single grain. Like you do get a little bit of like an ethanol punch. But then like the Foursquare added all these notes of like toasted coconut and pineapple, some more of these like tropical fruit notes, as well as like some floral aspects to it. So I get like little bits of like honeydew and melon. Like in general, these single grain whiskeys that we are getting from Knoll are very light but like very nuanced. So there's like tons of layers in them, but they're all like these very delicate light notes. So I am curious to hear what you get too, because like I've just like totally swayed your opinion and given you like multiple notes to think about.
I mean, a little bit, but also like I already had some thoughts. So
cool.
I'm also referencing my thoughts. So first of all, I want to say like I love that proof. I think a lot of the Irish whiskey is lower proof unless you're getting like a cask strength release. So I think being at 100 proof, it really does shine and stand out compared to some of the other Irish whiskeys I've had. One note that you said that I already had noted is creamy. I mean, this is such a rich, the mouthfeel. It's so it feels almost as thick as like a cocktail almost. Like on the palate, it just takes like, it has such a, now that could also be from maybe some of the rum as well. It could have had some of that influence on it as well. But you mentioned, I think you said like almond or something like that. I actually, my note that I had written down was amaretto. It reminded me of like a Di Serrano amaretto. So I think we're getting some of the same flavor notes there as well. It really has a nutty quality to it that with Irish, I don't usually get that. With Irish, I get more of like the shortbread, the typical Irish whiskey notes. But this has a creamy, like nutty, like, I know that's like a weird combo, but like it seems so different from what I've had.
So like anytime I detect nuttiness, like to me, that's always indicative of like really good oxidative stress in maturation. Okay. Because like the more like, so depending upon where you're at in the rick house, like the more oxygen you're getting flowing through there, you're going to have way more evaporative qualities develop. That's where you're going to develop like your hazelnut, your like almond, your like, again, like all your nutty notes. Right. And so like that nuttiness is almost always indicative, in my opinion, of like, wow, this is a well-aged thing. Right. And so like, and again, it like Zopher just mentioned, I know like you'll click through the comments in a second, but like mouthfeel, right? Like that creamy lactic thing, like the oiliness on the palate in a good way, like oily in a good way. So
yeah, absolutely. And I see some other comments. I'm gonna say hello to some folks. Eric is here as well. Cheers to you, Eric. Devin says, I do love a great corn whiskey, the custardy marshmallow. You mentioned marshmallow as well. I get that sweetness. Normally I get marshmallow on like a toasted cask, but you did say this is it's double oaked, or not double oak, but double cast. Yeah. So you are getting more different types of influence on it from the ex bourbon cast and the ex rum cast. So yeah, definitely at the marshmallow as well. Women of Whiskeys is here. Another amazing channel. They go live on Wednesday nights. You guys make sure to tune into Michelle over on Women of Whiskeys. So good to see some great folks hanging out tonight. But man, this is special. So I was looking at the website. You guys have this is the 7th release you guys have done for this.
No, so this one is this number 7. Yeah, this is number 7. We are actually about to hit number 10.
Oh wow! So you guys, and are they all Irish?
No. So number 1 was straight bourbon whiskey finished in ex-California Cabernet. Number 2 was cask strength single malt Irish finished in Pedro Jimenez sherry casks.
Oh wow!
That was
very different.
And then like we've also got long aged. We've got an 18-year-old, a 19-year-old, and then we're about to have the 20-year-old single malt cask strength single barrels from Noel Sweeney's personal barrel collection that he distilled 20 years ago. And those are all called Saints and Scholars. I mean, they're one-offs, which is why we were like, we got to release these as single barrels, because like this is such like unicorn level shit.
Right. Yeah. Well, like, you said they sell out. Like you do a tasting of them and they sell out so quickly.
I mean, like, and it's genuinely like it's a look back in time. Like here is a thing that a dude made. And I was actually, so we were interviewing him early on because we knew that it was distillate he had distilled. And we were like, man, that's got to be wild going back and tasting something you made like 18, 19 years ago. And he's like, oh, I've been tasting them the whole time. And I was like, well, sure. He's like, no, yeah, I've been tasting them. It's my whiskey. And I was like, oh, yeah, it's your whiskey. You made it. He goes, no, it's my whiskey. These are my 30 barrels that I set aside. I've taken with me my whole career. He's like, these didn't get sold. These were my barrels. And it's just like, oh, wait, we got something way more special than we thought. And so it's like,
but did he ever go into like why he felt like you guys were like the right fit for this? Like, was it something just about the brand or just the relationships? I'm just curious, like what made him give up his special barrels?
I don't know. I mean, like we got into the conversations and it was like, it really was just one day, like suddenly Noel was here and Noel was like, hey, we want to work with you guys to start importing this. We love like the pedigree. We love what you guys have done. Like, again, because it does come back to like Foursquare and to Tequila Ocho and Kubler Absinthe and all these brands that we've had like since they were wee babes and like have now grown up. So, and then of course, like the name Brown does like mean something in the world of whiskey. So fortunately, I think that put us in a pretty good position there. So, we were at the right place at the right time. And unfortunately for Noel, but I guess fortunately for us, the pandemic, kind of squashed that project for him. And in turn, he was like, well, if we're going to do this, let's do it. He's like, so, I think that it was all about timing and right place and right time. And okay, I mean, I guess we just do it. So.
Yeah. Well, it seems to, obviously worked out so well because it's such a delicious product. Now, you said this isn't just now kind of rolling out. Is it available in stores or is it kind of just like a allocated kind of release? I'm just curious to hear like availability wise.
No, so we've got a decent amount of this one because this was one where we know this is going to be special. So if we can go a little bit deeper on it, it is going to be a limited one-off, and when it's gone, it's gone. Like I said, the tastings, the 2 tastings I've done in the last couple of weeks, both stores that had it, they brought in an extra case or two, and we sold out of every bottle they had on site after the tasting. So it's available right now. You can find it on store shelves. Ultimately, though, if you don't find it, like ask your favorite retailer because it's still available. They can still get it. It is not allocated. It is first come, first serve. So
gotcha. Wow. And price point on this one?
This one sits at $79.99. So
oh wow. Okay, the way you hyped it up had me feeling like we were talking the several $100 range here.
No, like the Saints and Scholars, which are Noel's like personal barrels, those are $500 a bottle. But
okay, I was gonna say
no.
Okay.
Yeah, when it came
so
to these,
it's not every single release that are in these. By the way, they all look pretty similar. If you guys see this label, like make sure to look closely, make sure you see which release it is. But that's incredible. This, man, I'm gonna seek out a bottle of this. This is so good. I think it's unique. Like I said, it's different than anything else in my collection. I think it just from that proof point alone, I love that. Like I always look for like a good everyday Irish sipper. Yeah. And at that price point, like that's like perfect for me. That's really special.
Yep. Yeah. I gifted my father-in-law a bottle when we first launched it. Or when it was first coming out, which was just before St. Patrick's Day, because we're no dummies. Oh, also like, hey, if we're going to put this in the market, like, hey, this is an ideal time to do it. And I don't know what happened, but I think his bottle may have had an extra hole in it because it was gone within 2 days. So
I don't blame him. Yeah. If this was, like I said, I've had this for like a week or two and I've tried to resist. I'm like, I got to save it for the stream. Got to save it for the stream. It's so good. We have a couple shout outs in the chat. James said, Foursquare yearly 12-year rum is fantastic. Love the 2008 and 2009. Yeah. I had the 2009 left, but I grabbed the 2010 because that's the most recent one I have. I know there's been other releases as well, which actually, we still got some time. We can sip on that a little bit as well as we kind of answer any questions. You guys have any questions, please leave them in the chat, whether it's about Foursquare or this amazing Irish whiskey or the bourbon or the rye. Please let us know. Women of Whiskey's gifted 5 Bourbon Bytes memberships. I don't know what it means to gift memberships, but that sounds awesome. Didn't know you could do that, but thank you. We call the Byte Club, or we called my memberships here on the channel the Byte Club. I just kind of go like, I stick with like the 80s theme, as you can tell from my branding and everything.
No, I love it.
Used to be more gaming focused. Now we've kind of shifted to more like 80s, just everything. I just recently introduced a new perk for my Patreon members where we do our monthly movie nights. So
rad.
This month we're streaming the original Roadhouse.
Awesome.
I've actually never seen it. The 1989 one. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't either. I've seen like snippets of it, and I feel so. I mean, like I studied film for a little bit in college, and I'm like, man, I feel like this is something I should have seen, right? But
yeah, no, same. Yeah, I minored in film studies, and now I work at Amazon Studios, so cool. I'm around it all the time. But Amazon just released a remake, or I don't want to say remake. Remake is looked down upon. It is a retelling of Roadhouse. But I have not watched the Amazon one. I want to watch the original one first. So we're going to do a Patreon exclusive thing next Friday. So if you guys are on Patreon, everyone $5 and up, get access to that screening. We'd love to see you there. Thank you, Donnie, for dropping the link to the Patreon page. So, and then Emily's dropping the link to your website, Heinrich. Yeah, if you guys want any questions, or if you have any, I don't want to say questions. If you guys want to find more information, that's what I was looking for. If you want to find more information about the brand, check out that. They have all their expressions listed there. I've actually been kind of scrolling through it as we've been chatting and looking at some of these awesome offerings. So thank you, Emily, for that. Question from Hunt. He says, other than Saints and Scholars, more Irish on the way.
Yes.
Well, you said he has some inside info here, maybe.
Yeah, Hunt. So Hunt used to be our Mid-Atlantic and Southeast sales director for the United States. So he's extremely familiar with a lot of these things. But yeah, no, we've got the next iteration of. So I mentioned that cask strength single malt Irish that was finished in PX. We've got the next iteration of that, and that's actually coming from the Royal Oak Distillery. So if you all know, like the guys at Walsh Whiskies, I mean, they've got some phenomenal spirits they're making. But Noel took some of that, and he's finished it not in PX, but in Amarone casks. So it's going to be a cask strength single malt Irish finished in Amarone. That won't probably be until the summer, thereabouts. But so we're kind of waiting on that one. But Saints and Scholars, the 20 years just hitting, and then the Foursquare. Also just launched, so we're pretty good in Irish at the moment,
Yeah. Well, so you actually, I'm not familiar with Amarone. What kind of cask is this? I love a PX finished Irish whiskey. One from another brand came out like last year, and I absolutely wish I would have bought more than one bottle of it. Is it kind of like a sweeter wine cask?
It is sweeter, but it's nowhere near as sweet as PX. I mean, so think of it as like a lightly sweetened red wine, almost like a sweet vermouth style. And that's I'm probably totally like. There's probably some Amarone fans that are out there, and actually, I would imagine Hunt is one of those, but that are way more educated in the world of Amarone than I. But I always, from my memory, Amarone was always like it's a bold red wine, but that has good like residual sweetness to it. So it's nowhere near as like saccharine as a PX, but it is.
Well,
it is definitely.
I love PX, but it's always a dessert whiskey. It's like I can only have like one pour.
Yep.
Like, and that's it. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, so Women of Whiskeys, Michelle said, I watched Roadhouse, the original Roadhouse, in the back of a truck at a drive-in. And Donnie says he misses the drive-in theaters. Yeah, I've only, I missed that whole generation. I was born in the 90s, so I missed a lot of that. But we did have some of the not short films, but the more indie films out here in California. Sometimes they'll do like a rooftop screening. So it's kind of like the drive-in. It's like you're in a parking garage, kind of the same vibes. So, but I do miss that. It's another like 80s era thing that like, I wish I could have lived in it.
I love it.
Well, since we're talking 80s, well, let's pour. You want to go ahead and pour the Foursquare?
Yeah, I actually snuck it out of you.
So, oh no, there you go.
I wasted no time.
So you mentioned earlier that you are kind of a bit of a nerd in some ways, which we love here on the channel. Do you have a favorite 80s movie or favorite 80s video game, or it's just a vintage video game, whatever?
I mean, like classic Legend of Zelda on Nintendo, like on NES.
Oh, of course.
Like
we're
for sure.
Like NES original. Okay.
Yeah. OG NES. Like I was 4 years old when like my dad got me my NES, and it's like Zelda became the thing that was actually, it was Mike Tyson. Like it was Punch Out, like was the first game that I was like, I played religiously. And then ultimately, like, as I got a little bit older, I was like, no, I need to master Zelda. Like this is now like a big deal. Yeah. So that's a big one. I mean, like Ghostbusters for sure. Although like when I've hit my, like, my where I can understand what the hell's actually going on with the movie stage. Like I obsessed about Terminator 2 Judgment Day for some reason. I've seen that movie like 46 times.
That's funny. That's the only Terminator movie I've ever seen. I've never seen the original. I've only seen the second one because that's the more popular one. I feel like when everyone thinks Terminator, like a lot of them think of Terminator 2. It just was like the big one. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm trying to work my way through it. Like I said, that's the whole reason I do the movie nights on my Patreon. I mean, I do it for the patrons, of course, but also for myself because I'm so behind on so many of them. Like there was, of course, the classics I always, I've watched since a kid, like Goonies and Stand By Me. Those have always kind of been my like kind of go-to, but there's so much more, like especially like the sci-fi genre. Oh yeah. Like in the 80s, it was just crazy. There's some really weird shit out there.
I mean, like honestly, like anything Mystery Science Theater is also like key for me because it's just like, I'm going to go watch some of these things that I may or may not have seen, reruns on TV back then, but I appreciate how they're making fun of it. So.
Yeah, for sure. I was commenting on Amarone. James said, it is the bomb, not dry, good dark red fruits, again, the best. And then he goes on to say, Emerone de la
Valpolicella.
Trying to pronounce that.
Valpolicella.
There we go. Redentine wine. Very cool. Patrick Bourbon Noob says, I'm too young for NES. Listen, I did not have an NES. I had a Super Nintendo. Sorry. I'm sorry. But you know what? I still played those classic games. And then Zover said The Legend of Zelda is the Zelda, like the original. Donnie says, us old folks like Terminator. Okay, Donnie. Okay. I'm not no shame to Terminator, but don't get it twisted. We do it for you. Oh, wait, we do it. Oh, you guys watch the movies for me because you want to see what I think of the movies. I see what they're saying. Everyone's going off around. Yeah, no, love. Like seriously, this is like not to like promote myself again, but like Patreon, you guys get on it. You guys, I put up polls asking people for recommendations of the next 80s movie to watch. So if you guys have suggestions, join the Discord community. We have an amazing Discord community. I'll drop the link to the Discord in the chat right now. But Brandon, tell me your thoughts on this Foursquare. And of course, this is the 2010, not the 2007 used for the release. But how do you feel about the 2010?
I mean, like the 2010, I think is fantastic. I mean, but like I'm every time I get one of these vintages, I have the assumption I'm like, okay, I know what to expect, and like I do kind of know what to expect, but I'm always like really pleasantly surprised. I'm like, God damn it, this is different. It's so different. And I mean, like, because they're always 12 years old. It's always ex-bourbon barrel. Right. It's always like cask strength. But I was talking with Richard Seal, who's the 4th generation, the master distiller and blender over at Foursquare. We were in California together for a week, and we were talking about it. And he's like, I was like, so how are you crafting these differences vintage to vintage? Are you just picking different barrels? And he's like, no, we're blending down the whole life of these casks to become this thing at the end of 12 years, which is why like people are always like, why can't I get a single barrel of Foursquare? And it's because a single barrel doesn't exist there, because it's like he's always blending down over its lifespan to become the final thing. So, I mean, like this one, 2010 to me, like I've been drinking so much 2011 that's my current reference, because 2011. I haven't bought that one yet.
I haven't seen it hit my ear. I'm sure it's there. I just haven't picked it up.
Yeah. So 2011 is also just launched. So that also just launched right in March. So you're not too late to it, but like
not too far behind.
Yeah. So since we're like, I'm out in the market doing this right now, it's like that's the thing I've been tasting the most. To me, 2010 is a little bit more lean. It's a little bit more kind of austere, so it's a little bit brighter, a little bit tighter on the palate, whereas the 2011 is a little bit bigger, a little bit funkier, a little bit more phenolic. Like you've got more like these weird pineapple-y, banana-y kind of notes that are behind it. That I don't often get on some of these Foursquare releases. Things that like I will detect nuances of in like a Jamaican rum, but we're not.
Right. I was going to say the description sounded like not what I normally would expect. I mean, I do, of course, you get some of the tropical notes that I think you get with all rums, but yeah, this like compared to the 2010, to me, this is more of like the typical. This I don't want to say, I hate the word smooth when we're describing things, but it's one of those like even at the proof point it's at, which is by the way 120 proof. I don't think it drinks that at all. Like I could drink this and be perfectly happy, but to me it has more of those like bourbon-esque characteristics, but the 2011 sounds super interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely still got that. It's still the very bourbon-y kind of notes as well. Lots of vanilla, lots of like dark caramelized like creme brulee, right? So it's custardy, but it's like burnt sugar custard.
Love it.
But then it's not like full funk like Jamaican rum, but it's like there's a little bit of these estery things that are in there that you don't normally get on some of these other Foursquare releases. So, and I will say the next exceptional cask release is called Equipoise, and it's the first time that Richard's using ex-Calvados barrels, and it's pretty bonkers. So it was 10 years in ex-bourbon and then 4 years in ex-Calvados, right? Because he doesn't necessarily do finishes; he does like double maturations, where it's like he's transferring, and it's wild. Like it's one of those where it's just like, holy crap, dude, what did you just do? Like
any info when that's coming out anytime soon?
Imminent. Like it will in hope. I'm hopeful that it will be like landing here in the United States in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And then it'll have to clear customs. So like so like
imminent was very vague. I'm like, okay, like in a year.
No.
Okay, wow. So like proof is that one of the higher proof ones or the lower proof?
That will be higher proof, but it's also one of the smallest releases we've had. I think it's only like 700 cases. So that's pretty small for one of these. I
will definitely be keeping an eye out for that. I mean, I try to buy as many Foursquare as I can. Just really, if I'm going to buy a rum, it's always honestly like 90% of the time it's going to be Barbados rum, and then half of that it's gonna be likely Foursquare label. So I'm a huge fan of it. So Well, I know we're right at time, but any last, like, do you want to shout out your Instagram? I know you do some really cool videos on your Instagram where you do cocktails and you do like really thorough descriptions of these whiskeys. You want to give a shout out?
Yeah. So my personal Instagram is brandon.altamar. And that is where, like, as I'm traveling around, as I know about like new releases, or as we're like, even, you know, like if I've got Richard Seal in the United States and we're traveling around, like that's where I'm going to be posting that this stuff's happening. And then of course, like the Altamar Brands Instagram as well is just at Altamar Brands. And that's for like, you know, just the ready to update these things. But yeah, no, you know, as an old cocktail bartender, it's like, I got to dip my toe back into the water every now and again. Like, yeah.
What's your go-to cocktail? Not necessarily with these whiskeys, but or these releases, but like if you're trying to impress someone, what's the go-to cocktail you make?
If I'm trying to impress someone, like a really...
Okay, 2 questions. What's your go-to cocktail just on your own? And 2, if you're like trying to like, oh, this is like a fancy cocktail.
Yeah, my go-to cocktail on my own, honestly, is probably like it's going to be a variation of either a martini or like an old-fashioned. Like it's I'm a keep it simple, stupid kind of person. Yeah. Where it's like I love these iconic classics, but when they're done just like perfect, right? If I'm trying to like really like impress somebody, honestly, it's gonna sound stupid, but it's a daiquiri. Because it's like, I'm going to make you like one of the best daiquiris you've ever had, which means like I'm going to use really good rum. I'm going to use fresh squeezed lime juice.
I've never had a good daiquiri, so I think I feel like I need to hit you up and hear that recipe.
Yeah,
do you have the recipe on your Instagram? Maybe I should look it up.
I mean, somewhere it's you know, there's a great article. I can't remember if it was VinePair who wrote it, but a good buddy of mine, his name's Chris Franke, who runs a bar in DC called the Green Zone, which if anybody's in DC, like this is one of my favorite drinking establishments in the United States. Chris Franke was interviewed about the daiquiri, and it's his recipe and his build that I actually reference almost all the time because like his daiquiri is just on point. And it's like, it's one of those like, you know, it's a bartender checking another bartender to be like, all right, I'm going to call a daiquiri and we'll see how you're going to make it. And if it crushes it, then it's like, yeah, we're going with it. So
yeah, I feel like I threw some shade to the daiquiri. I'm not shaming the cocktail. I'm just saying every time I've had it, it's been like in a really shitty bar. like I've never gone to like a nice cocktail bar and had a daiquiri. So let me disclaimer that I'm not anti-daiquiri. I just have not had a good one in my life. Okay, there's someone asked a question in the chat before we go. Devin says, what's your favorite release? I assume he's talking about Foursquare.
I'm guessing so. Yeah.
I would assume that, but yeah. Do you have a favorite Foursquare?
Yeah, the next one.
Okay. Oh
no,
wow.
No,
so you're that easy.
No. That's like generally my patented response always. Like, what's your favorite Foursquare? The next one that's coming out. But no, I mean, like, to be honest, it's for me, it's more sentimental than anything. Like the release that, like, for one, like I got to go down to Barbados before we even started importing the rums, and it's like the first time tasting it, it was just like, holy crap! I've never had rum like this before. This is unreal. So like those.
I think that's everyone's reaction for trying Foursquare for the first time. As a bourbon drinker, I never tasted rum that I enjoyed so much.
Yeah, so I mean, like the original, like the port cask, the Zinfandel cask, the 2004, those are like sentimentally important. The first one that I had, though, from like the exceptional casks where I was like, holy shit, was the Criterion. And like the first time I had Criterion. So Criterion was a double maturation. It was 7 years in ex-bourbon and then 3 years in ex-Madeira cask. And it was bottled like right at about cask strength. And it's one of those, like, I'm a self-described Madeira slut. So, like, anytime something is finished in Madeira or, like, has had Madeira barrels involved, I'm like, yes, I will have that. So, admittedly, that one was also, like, sentimentally important. And then Redoutable, which is also, that was 2 14-year rums, right? One was 14 years entirely ex-bourbon, and the other was 14 years entirely ex-Madeira. Like, so there's a logical thread here. Like, Madeira's involved. I'm gonna love it. So
I will say those in the chat or during watching the replay that have followed me know I have a long history with how do you pronounce it? Redoutable?
Redoutable or Redoubtable. Yeah, Redoutable.
Okay. It goes back to like 2 years. Whenever I first tried it, when it first came out, I just pronounced it as Redoutable, and like everyone made fun of me for that for the longest time.
Yeah, Redoutable.
And I was trying. I was like, I'm gonna fake an accent. I've never took classes in my life, but I'm gonna try it. But honestly, that's absolutely one of my favorites. If anyone asked me what my favorite was, it probably would either be, honestly, I wish I saw the 2007. That was my favorite release that I have had personally. But the second one is the redoubtable. I'm just going to call it that because that's way easier to say.
I'm not mad at that at all, man. Own it. Own it.
Awesome. Well, Brandon, thank you so much for being a part of the stream. Always a pleasure. Hey, if you guys have any releases that, outside of the world of this, or just any other brands you'd love to come on and talk about, I would love to have you. You guys are up to some amazing things. It sounds like there's some really fun things in the works. So
can I
thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, it was absolutely my pleasure. Can I get you to talk about tequila at some point?
Absolutely. Listen,
Awesome.
I do tequila. I typically have been doing it like during what's coming up? Hold on, Cinco de Mayo week stream, maybe.
I mean, we can kick the idea around. I've got some tequilas that are exciting, and I know Zopher would probably appreciate it.
Oh yeah, no, there's a huge. There's people that would tune in just for the tequila stream. For some reason, some people will subscribe to my channel and they're only there for the tequila stream. So
I love it.
Sounds like we should stay in touch. I'll get in touch with, of course, Aaron and everything. So awesome. Well, thank you so much for Brandon. Have a great rest of your night.
Awesome.
And like I said, you're welcome back anytime.
Clifton, thanks so much.
And those of you watching live, thank you so much for tuning in. Like I said, if you're watching the replay, leave a comment below. What are you most excited to try from this lineup? For those of you that are tuning in weekly, I'll be live again next Thursday with a brand that I fell in love with at the New Orleans Bourbon Festival. It's called Dark Arts Whiskey House. So if you guys have heard about it, you probably haven't because it's slowly making its way across the country. Definitely want to tune in for that stream. But cheers, y'all. I will see y'all next week. And until then, this has been Bourbon Bytes. Cheers. Brandon, thanks again for coming on.
My pleasure, man. Thank you for having me.
Cheers, everyone. Bye. It's probably a low rye, but it's a very Manhattan. This one is really, really fantastic. So it's my top 3 for sure. I've not tried Still Austin Rye in Manhattan, but I can just tell based on that flavor profile alone, this would do incredible in a cocktail. Coming in at 100 proof for their standard release is exciting. I love to see that. It's uniquely Texas. I feel like it's not what you would expect from a rye. Of course, that bright, minty quality up front. But I love that the back end of this has a bit more depth to it. It's a dark chocolate. It's not like a sweet chocolate, but it's very bitter, almost like a baker's chocolate. Combined with the mint, I'm getting a little bit of peppermint patty kind of flavor. 100 proof is exactly what I'm looking for a cocktail. The rye, like I said, first time having it, but I'm impressed. Let's go ahead and try the Lux Rose Small Batch Bourbon Whiskey Finish in PX Sherry. Okay. I see why I said what I said. This is very strongly influenced by that PX Sherry. To the point where the first taste I get is grape. To me, Hello everyone, Bourbon the 80s twist. I'm your host Clifton. Welcome to another Thursday night live stream. Happy as a new year. If you missed me last week, but I am so excited for tonight because I'm getting to bring up a topic of discussion that I kind of have a little bit of varying opinions on. So I asked on Discord earlier today, do you think whiskey can be seasonal? Do you think there's certain whiskeys for certain times of the year and certain whiskeys for other times of the year? So that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today, but we're going to do it through two releases from Jim Beam, one of which is a new release, which is their Jim Beam Winter Reserve. Now this is released, of course, exclusively for the winter, or I guess it came out late fall. We're going to be comparing that to the Sunshine Blend, which of course is a summer/spring release. So that's going to be the catalyst of our discussion, but we're just going to make it an open discussion as well. I know a lot of people say oh, this is the perfect fall whiskey, this is the perfect spring whiskey. So we're going to be going through different ones and which ones we think fit each season. So that's the plan tonight, but thank you all for tuning in, whether you're watching live or watching the replay. I see Four Leaf Whiskey's here. Good to see you, Stacy. M is here. Brandon is here. Donnie is here. Tony is here. And Zofer is here. Great crowd. Like, I was running a little bit late. I was like, oh no. But I made it. Because I wanted to get... I knew I had a little baby original Jim Beam sitting somewhere. So I wanted to have this one to kind of balance and see like, okay, let's see a regular Jim Beam versus a summer Jim Beam versus a winter Jim Beam. That's the plan. But hopefully y'all are having a good night. I don't know what I was going to say. I just woke up from, the reason I was late, I honestly was sleeping on that beanbag right there, and I woke up and it was like 7 o'clock. I'm like, oh crap. But I knew what I had to do. So, so these releases from Jim Beam, the Sunshine Blend, actually, I've seen, it came out last year for sure. I pulled up their page here to see kind of what it's all about, because like I said, it's definitely different, right? It doesn't say anything specific. It just says Jim Beam Sunshine Blend. It says made for mixing and sharing. So, so this kind of talks a little bit about there's nothing like a bourbon cocktail on a sunny afternoon. A sweet sunshine blend, perfect for cocktails, made to mix and be shared. So I don't have a cocktail here, but I do want to drink it neat because I feel like it wouldn't be fair to do it as a cocktail and then do this other one as a neat pour. So we're gonna do it neat, but like I said, it's kind of meant to be a cocktail Jim Beam. Yes. Love a power nap. Literally, I was like, you know what? It was like 6:30 and I just finished dinner. I'm like, I could use a nap right now. So, overslept a little bit, but it's all good. So have you guys had these? I'm curious for those in the chat. Because I've not had them yet. I'm very excited. I'm gonna go ahead and get them poured. So we're gonna start with the Sunshine Blend on the left. Oh, what's up? Patrick's here. He said he enjoyed the Sunshine. Awesome. Yeah, I've never had this one. Like I said, I saw it on the shelves, but again, I don't really know the differences here. This one does have some info here. It says the secret behind Sunshine Blend is that it's a delicate blend of our classic Kentucky Straight bourbon whiskey and a new bourbon made with brown rice and aged for 4 years. So this one's a different mash bill. It's a blend with a different mash bill, which is kind of fun. So there's that one, and then there's the standard Jim Beam, Jim Beam White Label, the one we all know and love. I'm going to pour that one in the middle glass here. What's up, Whiskey Pear? Good to see you, man. Hope you are doing well. I saw you message on Discord, and I haven't opened it because I fell asleep. Okay, so there's that one, and then on the far right, I'm going to do the new Winter Reserve. Now, this one, it's a little confusing because it says notes of vanilla and cinnamon. So it almost makes you think that it's flavored. I'm like, wait, this is a flavored whiskey. No, it's not though. It is 86 proof, 43% ABV, 6 years old. There's an age statement here. And it's toasted white oak barrels. Come on, this focus is really bad about this side labels here. There you go. So this is a toasted barrel. And I think someone was saying like it's like one of the most affordable toasted barrel releases that are out there. Oh, choppy audio. I hope not. I haven't changed any settings, so let me know. All right, so we got all those poured. So we have the standard Jim Beam White Label. There's no age statement, but we know it's around 4 years old. We have the Jim Beam Sunshine Blend, which is 4 years old, plus that brown rice bourbon, and the new winter blend with the toasted oak. So let's see. Do these really taste like springtime and wintertime? Let's find out. So yeah, let's start with springtime, right? This is, I think, the hardest category. So we're kind of starting with the hardest one. Which whiskeys would you consider like a springtime pour? If you're like, oh, okay, the flowers are blooming, the grass is turning, like coming back to life. What whiskey kind of pairs with that? And that's one that I struggled with because like I can always think of like a fall pour or a winter pour, but a springtime pour. I mean, the first one that comes to mind for me is, weirdly enough, Orchard House, which is, I think it's technically supposed to be like a fall one. It's a Compass Box release. To me, that one is so bright and floral and fruity. To me, that is like the perfect springtime whiskey. Actually, I wish I had some. I would have poured that as well. But yeah, I think something springtime has to have some floral elements. I think spring is all about flowers. So I gotta think of something that's like refreshing, floral, maybe fruity, like bright fruits though. But I'm curious to hear what you guys think. What would be a good floral or a good springtime whiskey? But now let's try this sunshine batch. Well, actually, no. Let me start with just the Jim Beam White. That way we can have a base point to see how it differs. Okay, so this is just Jim Beam White label. Have not drank this neat in years. I probably did shots of this in college, honestly. But yeah, Jim Beam White label, standard on the shelf bottle. Not bad on the nose. I mean, it's definitely like a bright, really bright, definitely not much oak age on it. Like I said, I think it's around 4 years old, but like I don't know. Oh, Brandon says Buffalo Trace. That's a good one for spring. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. It is bright. It's definitely, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, so Jim Beam White label, good on the nose, very, very sweet though. I have a feeling it's gonna be sweet on the palate too, and very, very nutty. Let's try it. Cheers. I mean, it's so weird to drink something so, I don't want to say basic, but so, standard. Like, I mean, Jim Beam White Label is probably one of the most popular, best-selling whiskeys out there. There's nothing wrong with it. Would I choose to drink it neat? No, probably not. But now I'm curious about the Sunshine Blend, because they actually tell you to mix this in cocktails, so. But I'm curious to see what makes it different. So, I'm setting the palate with the White Label, by the way, which is 80 proof, I assume. Yeah, both the White Label and the Sunshine Blend are 80 proof. So same proof. It's so weird because I'm so used to starting these streams and like starting with high proof stuff, and then I'm like, wow, that's kicking me in the teeth. But like now I'm like, oh, this is like so light. It kind of surprised me because I haven't had any whiskey yet. So yeah, not bad. I wouldn't, Jim Beam and Coke, Brandon says, yeah. I think I probably did more of that than Jack and Coke, honestly. I think probably Jack and Coke was like probably one of the first ones I did, but I'm pretty sure I drank more Jim Beam and Coke. All right, so now let's move to the Sunshine Blend. Let's see how it differs from the standard Jim Beam White Label. Like I said, it does say made for mixing, but I want to try it neat because it's mixed with a new brown rice bourbon. On the nose, I will say it's almost a bit more mellow. It's like there's the Jim Beam, the classic nutty note on the White Label that you just associate with Jim Beam. This one is kind of similar, but it's definitely mellowed down a little bit. Maybe almost like it kind of reminds me of more of like a wheated bourbon. Like to me, those are like way more mellow on the nose, and I'm wondering if that's the brown rice impact it has. Now I have had a, do y'all remember when Jim Beam did those like experimental releases that they use different grains? I think whiskey or Bourbon Noob sent me a bunch of samples from that years ago, like literally when I was first starting the channel. It was one of the first flights I did, and I think he had a brown rice one, if I remember correctly. So I'm curious if this is some of the same stock of that brown rice. What's up, Chris? How's it going, man? Good to see you. It's been a minute. All right, let's go ahead and taste the Sunshine Blend. By the way, price point. The Winter Reserve and the Sunshine Blend are about the same price, right around $20, $21-ish dollars. Jim Beam White Label, of course, is like $14, $15, depending on where you get it. Interesting. Okay. Weirdly enough, even though this is made for mixing, I enjoy it neat more than the Jim Beam White Label. Oh, Signature Craft. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I couldn't remember the name of it. Tritical. I assume that's a grain. I don't know. I don't think I had that one. Interesting. Okay, so you know how I said like the Jim Beam White Label, it was fine. It was sorry, my watch keeps going off. I'm getting messages from work to make sure there's nothing urgent. Yeah, the White Label's fine. There's not a finish. There's no body. It's just, it hits you and then it's gone. Perfect for like what you would think for taking a shot, right? But this Sunshine Blend has more character to it. Very interesting. First of all, up front, it's got a little bit more of a, I don't know how to say the note. It's almost like a corn puff, like a cereal. It has like a bit of a cereal note, but it hangs around. The mid palate is really nice, actually. It's like, for that being only 80 proof, it does stick around, and the finish is not bad at all. That, I think. All right, so I'm a fan of the Sunshine Blend. I would rather drink this neat over Jim Beam White Label, believe it or not. Yeah, this one's, it's fine. It's a shooter, honestly. But now let's go. Let's take a sip of the Jim Beam White Label to reset my palate and get back into the center of the flavor wheel. Then we're gonna try the new Winter Reserve. So this is the one that is the notes of vanilla and cinnamon, 86 proof, 6-year-old toasted white oak barrel. So that's gonna be definitely different for sure. All right, so let's go to the White Label real quick. Yeah, even come from the Sunshine Blend. It's fine. All right, Jim Beam Winter Reserve. Like I said, this is a new release. I'm really excited to see a budget toasted bourbon. The nose is very different. There's way more age to, well, I would say there's more age to it, but it could just be the toasted note. That's making me feel that way. It has more of an oak influence. Like I said, the Jim Beam White didn't have that. It was nutty and it was sweet. This one has a bit of like that barrel char, which normally I associate with an older whiskey, but I think this is just because of that toasted oak that's being used with it. Let's give it a try. Cheers. Okay. Yeah. I think similar to the Sunshine Blend, there's way more character here. I love that they're trying different. This isn't just like a label slapped on it. Sometimes people are like, oh, this is our whatever release. This is actually different. It's a different product. It does have some of those sweeter toasted marshmallow kind of notes I get on a toasted bourbon. Now, very faint. This is not like comparable to like one of those really nice toasted bourbons, or even a toasted rye for that matter. It's very, very subtle, but it is there and it's really nice. Brandon makes a great comment. Don't forget that toasted whiskeys take a while to open up. Yes, I've been trying to like let it sit for a minute. These all have been poured the same amount of time. It's good. I like it. I think it's it's funny, like, which do I prefer, right? Do I prefer the Sunshine one? Do I prefer the brighter flavors? Or do I prefer the darker flavors with the Winter Reserve? And that, like I said, brings up to the topic. It's like, I think I tend to gravitate towards more traditionally fall and winter whiskeys as my favorites. I mean, I think the one that comes to mind, obviously, and of course the chat mentioned it earlier, Midwinter's Night Dram, like the perfect holiday pour. I've always said this. It has some of those berry spices that remind me so much of the holiday time, whether it's Thanksgiving or Christmas. To me, this one pairs perfectly with a holiday dinner or, after dinner cocktails. I always consider it a fall or winter whiskey. And I think, not to say you can't drink it in the spring or the summer, but those heavy fruity notes really do hold up for the cold weather, right? You want something to be warm, wants to warm you up. Whereas in the spring and summer, you don't want like not to speak for everyone else, but when I'm in the summer, I don't want to drink a high proof, heavy bourbon, especially when I'm outside. Like, to me, if it's hot and I'm drinking high proof, I need it on the rocks. And I think that's the way I typically, some people think like, oh, summer, like I said, some people drink like the brambles and like the things, the like mint juleps and stuff. To me, I actually prefer just whiskey on the rocks. That's kind of my go-to summer thing. I love pouring. I used to pour some Booker's on the rocks. Lately, it's been Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. Pour it on the rocks and like enjoy that during the summer. I really enjoy that. It's to me, I don't think distinctly spring, summer, fall, winter. To me, it's cool weather, warm weather. That makes the most sense to me. Like I said, Midwinter's Night Dram is like the warm weather, cozy pour. Things like high proof on ice to me is my warm weather whiskey. So I wanted to hear other people's thoughts. I did ask on Discord earlier today just to kind of get some input to hear from a few other folks. Let me pull that up right now. Yeah, so Brandon, like I said, like he prefers rye whiskey, especially barrel proof rye, during the winter for sure. Tyler says, fall, I do prefer a more flavorful bourbon. Anything barrel proof or finished. Spring and summer are usually whiskey cocktails. Manhattan's old fashioned. So, okay, so it's kind of a different take. You know, I associate those more with, I guess I think of those as those more whiskey spirit forward cocktails. For me personally, they're more cold weather cocktails. But that's interesting that Tyler actually prefers them during the spring and summer. Fred says, I drink more bourbon and rye in the winter and more malt whiskey in the warmer months, particularly ex-bourbon matured. Sherry malts are definitely good for winter too. Interesting. So that's kind of similar to how I felt about the Midwinter's Night Dram. It is finished in a sherry cask, and I also thought that was a very winter forward whiskey. He thinks the bourbon cask single malts are more of a spring and summer. So I'm curious here if other people, I feel like other people might feel that same way. I did say that I like the Compass Box, what was the Compass Box? Orchard House. To me, that to me is a spring whiskey. And then Whiskey Pear, who's here as well, he said, maybe going to the seasonal releases. Most distilleries have release codes A, B, and C, like Heaven Hill, like we know. Usually find the C releases, which tend to be higher proof and more bold flavored wise. I'd consider ECBP seasonal. That's interesting. I guess I've never really thought like they're targeting that. I do know that C's are typically the higher proof, right? They've not really traditionally been my favorites. Actually, A and B have usually been my favorites. But I mean, no, I love all educated barrel proof, but that's a good point. I didn't really think about they timed the higher proof one with the colder months. Have you all ever thought about that? Maybe I've just never thought about that's crazy to think about it being intentional because of the seasons. Um, and he said Midwinter's Night Dram is a good example of a finished rye that fits perfectly with the pumpkin spice season, although I haven't purchased one since they passed the 120 mark. Yeah, I bought them when I was at the distillery last year, so I had a good price on them. Cocktail wise, I love mint juleps in late spring and early summer. That's how I feel too. A rye flip is fantastic in winter with grated nutmeg on top. A rye flip, I've never heard of this. Teach me your ways. I'm very curious. I love nutmeg, so sounds really good. And then Matt says, I've always loved rare breed in the cold weather. Also, just higher proof bourbons and ryes in general. Yeah, that's kind of. I think that's the common theme, right? Chris said, I prefer anything wet at the moment, as yesterday was 105 degrees Fahrenheit here. At least the new AC is installed tomorrow morning. Oh, that's crazy. Hope you are staying cool. I feel like ACs always break at the worst times. It's probably because it's so hot, but or everyone's just using them at the same time. So I feel you. Zover said, now that you have mild seasons living in Southern California, do you think that has influence on your choice? Potentially. I think maybe that's why it's harder for me to do now. Like when I was in South Carolina, we definitely had winters, like we had cold weather. And I think I was more likely to think about, oh, what's something that's gonna warm me up inside. Now I'm not really, because it's never really that cold here. So maybe that's why my opinion of it doesn't feel as strongly as some people. Some people are very adamant about oh no, this is a winter cocktail, this is a summer cocktail. Maybe you're right. I didn't even think about California just being, not like we have seasons. We just don't have obvious seasons. Like my thumbnail that I put up here, with the different trees. Yeah, we don't do that. It all looks the same year round. Either dry or we get our one rain of the year, and it's just a little bit green. But I feel you. Rye flip is a cocktail with cream and a whole egg milkshake. Quick eggnog. Oh, that's interesting. I'm not opposed to it. Sounds interesting. I mean, I do love a whiskey sour with egg white. So, okay. A whole egg, though. We're talking about the yolk as well? Okay. We do have seasons. That's what I'm saying. People that say we don't have seasons, we do have seasons. They're just yeah. So I feel you. Okay, so to finish off the Jim Beam, we're going to pour something else too. But I think I actually prefer the Sunshine batch. Sunshine blend, sorry. To me, it's more complex. It has a nicer nose. Not a nicer nose, sorry. A nicer mid-palate and a nicer finish. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. If I was looking for an easy-to-drink whiskey on a pinch, I think that's very approachable. I could see so many people enjoying that. Not super nutty like the Jim Beam White Label. More just a generic. This is almost like an easy drinking profile. I always say Elijah Craig small batch is like one of my favorite like easy drinking bourbons to recommend to someone. This holds the same space. It's similar to the characteristics that I love about Elijah Craig small batch. I wish this was the Jim Beam. I wish this was the standard Jim Beam because I would be praising it a lot more often on the channel. But with it being a special release, I like it. It does say limited edition. Sorry, it just says special release. And then this winter reserve says this one actually doesn't. So maybe this is going to be a regular release. Yeah, it doesn't say anything about special release. So that's interesting. So this might be a regular on the shelf product. I just wish. Now we're going to go back to like Brandon said, it takes a minute to open up with a toasted bourbon. I wish it was, I don't know, I say that, but I think of some other cheaper toasted products like Elijah Craig toasted bourbon and toasted rye. Those are a bit overpowering with that toast note. It almost like you're taking a young whiskey and then you're toasting it. So it's like, it doesn't pair as well as an older whiskey that's got a toasted cask, like a secondary cask. Yeah, I do like this one too. And you would think like it's middle of January. I would prefer this since it's our colder season. I mean, it's good. That actually, it has a different kind of body to it. It has like a chocolatey note, whereas this one's bright and very sweet and fruity. This one has a bit of a chocolatey note that I think would be really good in a Manhattan. This paired with a really good sweet vermouth, I think would make a great Manhattan. I actually just ran out of sweet vermouth, so I'm a little disappointed. I would totally have made one tonight. Emily says, thought Midwinter's Night Dram was port finish. Yes, sorry. I did say sherry, didn't I? I apologize. Finished in French oak port cask. When I often I standardize fortified wine cask and I say sherry, but you're totally right. It is port, and I actually prefer port cask. So yeah, this is a perfect. I'm gonna pour this one next, I think. But I wanted to see, like, I mean, y'all can kind of see my collection here. What did y'all say, like, for like spring whiskeys? I'd love to grab a couple off my shelf, just like run back there and grab a few things, and let me see if I can get through that. That's kind of what I was hoping would happen in the chat. This was the only one that actually brought up in the chat, so I'm like, oh no. So if y'all can name some whiskeys that you think would be good for each season, I will run back there and gladly grab them. If not, I have a backup plan. Which y'all can let me know if y'all want to see this. If y'all don't want to see it, doesn't matter. I don't have to do it. I bought both the old Jim Beam Black label. Oh, come on. Y'all are familiar with these. Come on. Even if it doesn't focus, you're familiar with it. Oh, it's not focusing. Okay. The old Jim Beam Black Extra Aged and the new Jim Beam Black 7-year. I've actually never done a side-by-side of these two. So I wanted to buy both of them and see if the new release is better or equal to the previous one. So that's the backup plan if y'all don't name any other whiskeys for us to do. Otherwise, I will grab a summer. I have my winter whiskey, so I need a fall whiskey, a spring whiskey, and a summer whiskey. Like I said, I wish I had the Orchard House, but I don't. I do have scotches though. So there's a certain category of scotch you could say. I mean, someone did say single malt they prefer during the warmer months. I can just grab a single malt back there. And then we do have plenty of bourbons over here. So let me know in the chat. If not, I will go analyze my shelves real quick. But yeah, I'm digging this one. I really like the Sunshine Blend. It's fun. I would love to try it in a cocktail. Oh, Whiskey Nose. Loving the new logo. I've never seen that yet, actually. Whiskey Nose. That's awesome. Marty and Ginny, good to see you. And like I said, cool new logo. You guys check out Whiskey Nose. Really fun channel here on YouTube. All right, so I do know I have a winter one. So let me go ahead and pour Midwinter's Night Dram because this is the obvious choice. It literally has winter in the name. You know what was funny is I was talking to Justin. I was like, oh, I need a spring whiskey. And he's like, what about Springbank? I'm like, I don't think that counts. Like y'all, I mean, some of y'all know, like, I'm not the biggest fan of Springbank. And I was like, I think that's named Springbank because of like it's near spring, not because it's like a spring whiskey. But good call. I don't have it as Springbank, but so I'm gonna pour the Midwinter's Night Dram. Oh, White Port Special Edition. That's true. I saw that at the distillery. They were charging like $60 for a pour of it, and I'm like, I'm not gonna pay that. So I didn't get it, but I would love to have tried it. Midwinter's Night Dram is High West Rendezvous Rye finished with port and French oak barrels. Yep. Yeah, I am a fan of it. I think it's so classically, to me, I say holiday flavored because I can't decide if I think it's a Thanksgiving or a Christmas flavor. It just hasn't. Let me go to it. You know, now that we've been past both holidays very recently, it reminds me of a candle you would burn when you have family over, if that makes sense. It has a little bit of cranberry, I think. I think maybe that's what's making me think more Thanksgiving. Yeah, really just like frosty bright, like all the Christmas synonyms. Let's go for a taste though. Cheers. Mmm. Yeah, rye in general. It's funny because like straight rye whiskey, not finished, typically reminds me of a kind of grassy note, which maybe could be spring. I didn't think about that. But just like regular, 95.5 rye whiskey or 100 proof rye or 100% rye whiskey, with that grassy note could be a spring note. Do y'all think that or no? Because I think people think rye is more fall, but I feel like it could. Some of them, the more minty ones. Um, Whiskey Nose says Jenny send more casino live streams. Oh, I wish. It's so unpredictable to do a casino stream. Like there, you never know who you're gonna encounter. Also the setup of just like, first of all, the Wi-Fi. Y'all have seen so many of my casino streams where the Wi-Fi goes out. That's not fun. Also, like it's just awkward to kind of hold it sometimes, and with a lot of people, we haven't done them probably since COVID. I mean, I think we may have done one or two. We'll see. I mean, I've been going to a lot of casinos lately. We just got back we're in Temecula, and we went to Morongo. We did was it Morongo? I forget which one it was. Anyways, we were at the Temecula casino, and they did a New Year's celebration, so we were there for New Year's. And then we were back in South Carolina. There is a temporary casino set up. It's for the Catawba Indian Nation. It's called Two Kings Casino. They're actually planning to build a full casino. They actually have broke ground on it. It's actually being built now. And that is so crazy to me because it's so close to my hometown. It's like, I'm like, maybe I should move back home. Not just because of that, because they're also planning to build a film studio there as well. I'm like, maybe if I need to move back home, I'll have a casino, I'll have my film studio, I'll have a job, But yeah, no, I love visiting the casino. I feel awkward about filming there after a few not so great interactions. But glad that Jenny likes them. I enjoy making them when I get a chance to. Perry is here. What's up, Perry? Perry was just doing a live stream earlier doing the Heaven's Door, their new box set. Really fun. If y'all missed it, go check out the replay. Whiskey Pear is having some Lacheg. Interesting. I know I've had it. I don't have any myself. Whiskey knows that everyone's signed the like button. Yes. Seriously, like if y'all want to come back to this video, like if y'all think later on, like, oh, I just thought of, because this is how I am. Like I think about it after the fact, like, oh, I just thought of a perfect summer whiskey. Come back, leave a comment. I read every comment, so I'd love to see what your recommendations are. Pachanga or Pachanga. I forget how you pronounce it, but yes. Okay, sorry. I was saying Morongo. Morongo is closer to Palm Springs. I go to all of them. Donner Pass Whiskey is here. Hello, cheers to you. Good to see you. All right, so we poured the Midwinter Side Dram. I think it's consistent with what I felt like. It's spice. They even say on the back of the bottle, mulling spices, dried fruit, and creme anglaise. Anglaise? What is creme anglaise? Sweet cream? I don't know. Someone tell me. I don't speak French, I assume. I mean, it could be said. I don't know. I assume it's French. Man. People have been like crapping on some of the recent releases of Midwinter's Night Dram. But I just enjoy the flavor profile so much. I mean, I don't know if y'all remember, but a while back I was singing praises of the Old Scout. They had a port finished rye whiskey that was a very affordable version of it. No, it wasn't as good as Midwinter's Night Dram, but it was the exact flavor profile that I love the most about this one, but at an affordable price point. I love that bottle. I actually saw it in the Carolinas. I almost bought it, but then I saw it somewhat available here in Southern California, so I passed up on it. English cream, okay. Vanilla pastry cream, think a custard-like flavor. A thin custard that you put on a dessert plate. Interesting. Okay, y'all are obviously way more cultured than I am. Interesting. Okay, custard. I've never really thought to like look for like a creaminess to it. Go for another taste now that I know that. Let's see what we can find. Matthew Park said Old Scout's some good stuff. I agree. A lot of their releases are really good. I get the sweetness, but I don't get necessarily, to me, at least on my opinion. I mean, oh, okay. I get a bit of a creme brulee, which kind of is a custard, right? Like it's like a custard with the what do you call it? Charred top of it. I get a little of a creme brulee, which is kind of like a little soury kind of. Maybe that's what I'm getting. Maybe that's it. But that combines with the fruit to me tastes like the holidays. I love it. Delicious. One of my favorite bottles, just in general. I didn't buy this year's release. I saw it go on sale, but it was like 150 or 160. I'm like, oh, that's pushing it on price, so I did not get it. Same tasting note. Okay, awesome. Good to know. Well, I still have some time left. So I think instead of trying to go find, like I did the colors. I'm like, this is fall colors. This is spring color. Oh no, this is spring colors. I did pink, and this is summer. I don't know. I was trying to do the theme, but that doesn't match with the shelves. Like obviously these are bourbons, these are scotches, and these are not whiskeys at all. They're movies. But let's do the Jim Beam Black versus 7-year. Y'all want to see that? Let me know if you want to see that. If not, I'll just leave. You can go do something else. But I know we're a little early. I know that was kind of a limited topic, but I did want to review those releases, especially because the Winter Reserve is so new. So now, while I prepare that, I'm going to pour the summertime blend into the Winter Reserve blend, and let's see what this. If we're blending all the seasons together, what does it make? Really curious to see with that brown rice bourbon that's added to the sunshine with a toasted barrel. I'm interested. I'm very intrigued. Okay, the toasted note on the nose comes out way more in the blend. Even more so than I think it did on its own. I did say that I thought that the summertime, or sorry, the sunshine blend was very mellow. So I think when you combine that with the toasted characteristic, it kind of does remind you of a little bit older of a toasted whiskey. All right, so let's finish the blend, and then we're going to do that comparison. I think it kind of cancels each other out. I mean, I guess maybe that's what you think when summer and winter are combined, they cancel each other out. But the things that I love about each of them, when they're playing together, it kind of deafens both of them. So like the mid palate's meh, the finish is meh. Honestly, that tastes just the same as regular Jim Beam White Label. Meh all around. Okay, so that was a fail. Don't blend the sunshine batch with the winter batch. But we have another glass over. Oh, I thought we did. Nope, we do not. Okay. I don't have a dump glass. I do have a throat. Cheers. Ooh. That reminds me of college. Shout out to Jim Beam White Label. I mean, I don't think I didn't really do, like, if I was doing shots in college, it was mostly like vodka stuff, I'll be real. But sometimes I would go to events and they would have like, oh, do this shot, like picklebacks, basically. Shot of whiskey and pickle juice. I did do that. Clifton needs a hands-free phone rig. Oh, for the casino. Yeah, I usually, sorry, I just saw Tony's comment. I usually make Justin film in the casino, or at least make him set up the camera, because like I'm over here like doing everything else. I did say that. I set myself up for that one. So yeah, definitely said that. All right. Moving on. Let's do the Jim Beam, the old black extra aged. Again, this is the standard. Now it used to be an 8-year age statement. In case you can't tell, that's a B, not an 8. It looks like it could be an 8 though, right in the middle. It's definitely a B though, because they took the 8-year age statement off of this one. This is the Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, 43% ABV, 86 proof. No age statement, like I said, it's just extra aged. I don't think they even have a minimum age statement on here. Yes, I did buy minis because I didn't need to buy a full bottle of these because I had a full bottle of this one, but I've already finished it, so I didn't want to buy another one. And this is the new Jim Beam Black. This one does have an age statement. It's got that same B, but in a gold logo. 7 years, it's 45% ABV, so 90 proof, a little bit higher proof. Um, Other than that, everything else is still the same on the label. So let's pour them both and let's see if they've changed anything. Because I will say, I consider this one of the best like rebrands. I mean, if I had to do a best rebrand of the year, absolutely this. Because one, the new bottle looks nice. I really like the matte black look to it. But two, um, bringing back an age statement, even though it is lower, I commend them for that versus just keeping it off. Because extra age means nothing. At one point, wasn't it called double aged at one point? But now it's extra age. I think it was called double aged 8-year. So I'm gonna rinse this glass real quick. By rinse, down my throat. It's all Jim Beam. I don't really worry about nuances there. All right, let's pour the 7-year in this glass. Color-wise, they are darker than the Jim Beam White Label. That's for sure. Weirdly enough, I feel like it's gonna be hard to show. They're pretty close. The extra age looks a tiny bit darker, but I mean, again, it could just be the lighting right now. So I'm gonna set this over here so I don't forget which one is which. Bam. 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 All right, let's try the old black extra aged Jim Beam. Well, okay, let me reset my palate again with the Jim Beam White Label. I keep going back to this one and I don't enjoy it. It's kind of like what I say about Maker's Mark, right? Is like the only one I don't like is the standard Maker's Mark. How does I keep going out of focus? I think it's because I messed up with the holding it too close to the camera, so apologies. I think my autofocus is freaking out. Okay, Jim Beam White Label, set the palette. Palete's been set. I don't know what that did, but you know what? It did. Do a little rinse. All right, Jim Beam Black Extra Aged. Okay, the nose is different. Yeah, whereas the Jim Beam White Label has none of the oak characteristic to it. The oak comes in this one. And I like that because y'all know I love, I didn't say it's at the top of the stream, but those of you that know me know, Jim Beam is one of my favorite distilleries. They make Knob Creek 12 years, my standard on the shelf. If I had to pick one bourbon for the rest of my life at a decent price, it would be the Knob Creek 12 year, one of my favorites. So I love older Jim Beam products. So this one does kind of remind me, on the nose at least, of the oak that comes in a Knob Creek. Maybe not the 12 year, but like definitely similar to like some of the 9-year Knob Creeks on the nose. Very light though, very thin. I can tell this is, like I said, 86 proof. No, I mean better than 80, right? All right, let's try it. Jim Beam Black Extra Aged. That's good. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a significant improvement over the Jim Beam White Label. I've always felt that, right? Like, because the Jim Beam White Label is, what is it in your area? For me, it's like $12, $13 for a full-size bottle. This one's always been around like $16, $17. It's always been like $4 more. And it's like, to me, I think it's a worthy upgrade. If you're not just doing it to get drunk and you're doing it to actually taste whiskey, Jim Beam Black Extra Aged to me is a step up from standard Jim Beam. Now, not quite as big of a leap as like a Knob Creek or something like that, but it is a step up, and I commend someone that's willing to do that. You know, especially if they're really early in their whiskey journey and they're like, I don't want to just be shooting Jim Beam White Label. Like, okay, we'll try this one. It's a little bit more flavor to it, a little bit more character. You can actually sit with it and think on it. There's a little more body too. All right, Perry is off to sleep. Good night. Hopefully you sleep well. I was going to say hopefully you can make it to the hangout, but like obviously if you're going to sleep, you won't. So good to see you, Perry. All right. Well, that is a great first impression of the Jim Beam Black Extra Age. Let's compare it now to the new Jim Beam Black 7 years old. This is replacing, just so y'all, if it wasn't clear earlier, that the 7-year-old is replacing this one. So it's this Black Extra Age is going away, and this Black 7-year is replacing it. So let's see if it's any better. Cheers. On the nose, it's not as immediately standing out. So for me, the black extra age on the nose, that wood character that I really love about Jim Beam stands out. This one, it doesn't, which makes me wonder, are they putting some older whiskey into the extra age? Were they, at least? Now remember, the 7-year age statement doesn't mean that it's all 7 years. It means the youngest whiskey in here is 7 years, which is a good thing. I love seeing that. But there's a chance that the extra age may have had 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Who knows what's in this one? This one we know it's at least 7 years old. So it could be marketing. It could be younger stuff. We don't really know. I will say the nose to me isn't as good. The nose on the extra age is better. But it's not just about nose, it's about flavor. There's a nice sweetness there. A little bit of that creme brulee we were getting on the Miller's Night Dram, believe it or not. All right, let's give a taste to the Jim Beam 7-year black. Different flavor profiles completely. Wow. They didn't try to replicate what they did with the Jim Beam Black Extra Aged. This is a full-on new product, which kind of scares me because if you're someone that likes the Jim Beam Black Extra Age, you might be thrown off by this. It's a different flavor profile. This is crazy because I'm kind of like mad at myself because I've been considering this Jim Beam Black 7-year. Like, I think I included it in my top 10 of last year because I'm like, oh cool, they brought out age statement about it. This is a good whiskey. But side by side, I don't know. I may have different opinions. I'm gonna do a palate cleanse real quick. The 7-year has a very distinct difference between the mid palate and the finish. That's different. The extra age is very similar. This one up front, a bit of like younger oak. It tastes like a little bit like younger oak. A little drying on the back of the palate. Good finish. I like the finish on it. It almost feels a little more muted. Oh wow. Now I'm really regretting putting that in my top 10. It could just be today. Everyone's palate is different every day. But right now, this black extra age, oh yeah, 100% would prefer this one. I'm not even gonna like fake it. I thought that this new 7-year was gonna be better because there's an age statement back on it, and it's higher proof. I really think the flavor of this black extra age is better. So these are gonna be on the shelf for a while. They made so much of this. I recommend you guys try them both side by side yourself. It's a fun, very affordable way to do this. First of all, if you buy the minis like I did, I mean these were like $2 or $3 each. So very affordable way to compare. Plus, like, it makes it more fun. Like, yes, you could just shoot these, right? But you can also taste them and compare them. I think that makes the experience more enjoyable and it makes it last longer because you're not just shooting it. You're like, no, I'm going to analyze this. I'm going to be an expert. So, weirdly enough, I prefer the Jim Beam Extra Aged over the 7-year. Didn't expect that ending, but there we go. And that's what happens when you do an honest side by side. So. All right, I think that wraps us for tonight. I know I rambled a bit. I know I went a little bit off topic, but I wanted to stick in the Jim Beam territory here for a bit. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the stream. It was a little different than what I normally do. It's not like a normal lineup. It's like a topic, but we'll see. Maybe next time I'll do a little more thought out, and I'll be a little more prepared. I realize this went a little off the rails, but hopefully you enjoyed the stream. Watching the replay or watching live, leave me a thumbs up if you did. If not, it's okay. You don't have to dislike, but just you can just go away. But leave a comment below if you do have some recommendations for spring, summer, fall, or winter whiskeys. Would love to see those as we go out through the year. This video will still be up. So, yeah, let me know what you think. Cheers, y'all. Cheers, Matthew. The minis are very cute, as Emily says. All right, y'all. I will see y'all next Thursday. Do not have a plan yet, but stay tuned. I may do Tony Bag Donut sent me a really amazing flight, so I think I might do the Tony flight next week. Tony, if you're interested, if you're available, let me know. I want to do it while you're in the chat, at least. So cheers. I'll see y'all next week. Until then, this has been Bourbon Bytes Whiskey Reviews with an 80s twist. I will see you next Thursday. My outro video's on set. What the heck? Oh my god, it's glitching. It's glitching. Okay, we're gonna manually do it because StreamYard is not being fun tonight. All right, cheers, y'all. Bye. This is the highest proof thing you're going to drink tonight, so don't worry. It's still Elijah Craig. It's just high proof, straight from the barrel. So you like it? Okay, so see, y'all saw that she didn't even stutter at the Elijah Craig barrel proof. So